Welcome to the 29th running of the Diehard 500 here at the Alabama Motor Speedway. A move has taken place from July up to this time of the year, and it hasn't diminished the interest in this race. Beautiful day. See those flags out 90 degrees to the ground. Look at that crowd. 90,000 permanent seats sold out. Heaven knows how many in the infield to see this great 29th annual racing classic taking place here today on CBS among 42 top competitors, 33 to banking. 2.6 miles the distance around. White knuckle racing at 200 miles an hour, faster than you qualify. And this is the track where they turned 188 mile an hour average by Mark Martin to win the 500 run this past May. 23 of 28 different winners in the running of this great race. And hello everyone, Ken Squire. Welcome aboard as we bring you this tremendous fall classic now here on this 2.6 mile track. Think back to 1985 and to the present, and the difference, the average in the difference between first and second, about a wink. A tenth of a second is all it takes to win this race on this track. And what a front row you have for today's story. You have Ernie Irvan going from the pole at over 193 miles an hour, and John Andretti, who won at Daytona in the Pepsi 400, flanking him on the outside. There's battle stories all through this event, including the point battle. Looking at the points going into today's race, certainly the top three, they're the major story. Gordon, Martin, Jarrett. But equally interesting further back, 9th back to 12th, a matter of 50 points. So much at stake with 4 races remaining in the series. Mike Joy down on pit road with the man everybody's talking about, the point leader.
Jeff Gordon has the point lead with 4 races to go, but is a 125-point lead anywhere near safe?
No, not at all. I think that, you know, 4 races, a lot of racing left to do, a lot of points that can be won or lost. And so, you know, I think that we just got to be consistent and just go out there and, you know, try not to have any problems. And the way we've been running, I think we can get top 5s and top 10s. But I tell you, the way Mark and Dale Jarrett are running, we got to run hard. We got to go out there and try to win races.
If there's any track left where you can get swept up in somebody else's incident, is this the one?
Well, this place certainly anybody can get swept up, but you know, the first step is qualifying up front. We did that by qualifying 8th, and pretty happy about that, and hopefully we can stay up there.
Good luck today.
Thanks a lot.
Jeff Gordon, the point leader.
In no other race, aerodynamics so important as when you come to Talladega. And there's a fascinating story that Dick Berggren has for us on that.
And it's a unique story, Ken Squire. The front 4 cars all come out of different teams. 4 different engine builders, but one guy did the sheet metal on all 4 of them. Bob Newley apparently has come up with something, that was Earnhardt, has come up with something that's a bit better than anybody else, and he's got the whole front of the field here. It started out with a 98 car, John Andretti and Jeremy Mayfield, and when you go as fast as those guys go, other people stand up and take notice. So he freelanced for a while, and he put the sheet metal on all 4 of these front cars. Next year, however, Jack Roush has him all tied up. Roush thinks he's good enough. He wants nobody else building his sheet metal for the big tracks except Bob Newley. How does he build these cars? Right to the absolute edge of the rule book. NASCAR seized 3 trunk lids. They said, those aren't exactly what we think is okay. Who built them? Bob Newley. So aerodynamics will play a huge story today, and we are surely going to be watching the front of the field. Buddy Baker has the story on engines, which are always a big story here at Talladega.
You know, in 1987, Bobby Allison was running well over 200 miles an hour through the dogleg on the front straightaway when something fell off the engine and cut the right rear tire, making the car fly off the racetrack and got airborne. It hit the outside wall, and all of a sudden the racing world realized we had to slow these cars down, not only for the safety of the drivers, but also for the safety of the spectators. And I have Steve Meal here from Jack Roush Racing. He's going to explain about the restrictor plate. This is how NASCAR slowed these cars down.
Well, buddy, when you were driving, that was a size hole in the manifold spacer that you could run. In other words, the carburetor bolted directly to the top of this bolts directly to the top of the manifold. The fuel went right from the carburetor through that, I'll say, silver dollar size hole, right down in the manifold, made about 750 horsepower. What they did to slow us down was to put this plate between the spacer and the manifold. So as you can see, we reduced it from about a silver dollar size hole to a nickel size hole. That 95-cent difference is about 300 horsepower. As I say, years ago, buddy, when you were driving, even in the 60s, early 70s, we had restrictor plates, and they trusted us a lot more than they let us have our own restrictor plate. And they had a gauge to check the size of this hole right here. This is the 29/32, which we run right now. But as you can see now, NASCAR, as we go through the line for inspection before the race, actually issues us a restrictor plate, and it has a number on it. And they go so far as to keep track of these numbers, and the number restrictor plate that wins the race is thrown out and never used again, just in case it were having been machine big or what have you. I doubt that happens, but they're just doing a real nice job of taking care, making sure everybody's working on the same level playing field.
Thank you so much.
The man who took full advantage of when they had no restrictor in qualifying, Bill Elliott, 1987, 212-mile-an-hour average. He's standing by right now with Ralph Shaheen.
Ken, that was a wide-open day of racing here at Talladega. Bill, on that day you went 212. The racing was a little bit different than it is going to be here today. How has the strategy for a driver changed?
I'll tell you what, there is no strategy in this race. You know, you just got to be hopefully in the right place at the right time, and you know, it's just, you got to have a pretty decent car. You got to have something that drafts well. But you'll see here right quick that, you know, it's going to be a luck in the place you're in, because you can be leading one lap and in the back the next.
Well, good luck to you today, Bill. Now the pole speed will be 193 miles an hour. Bill will start 10th here today. Bill will be chasing Jeff Gordon on the racetrack. There's two drivers chasing him in the championship points. Here's Mike Joy.
Races to go, and either Jeff Gordon or one of these two Ford drivers chasing him will be the Winston Cup champion. Dale Jarrett, 6 wins, 197 points out of first. What have you got to do?
Well, we can only do our part, and that's try to run up front and win. And you know, Jeff has to have a problem somewhere along the way for us to have a chance, but we just have to do our part.
Mark, you're a lot closer, but Jeff has been shadowing you these past few races.
Well, it's been one or the other. We gained a few and lost a few, gained a few, lost a few. You know, all we can do is go out here and race our herd out like we have all year, starting in February at Daytona. We'll give it our best shot and see how it turns out.
Well, I'll ask you both. Is this championship now his to lose or yours to win?
Well, I think we just do our part. I don't think that whoever wins the championship has very much earned it this year. This has been a tough battle. All three of us have had great years.
We've had a great year. They've had a great year. Dale has too. We'll just see who wins. I mean, it's not anybody's. It's you know, it's about competition, and I'm glad to be competing and to be a contender in it.
Okay, well, good luck today. Thank you both.
The speed, the points, the place, they're all a story, but this is the biggest story of the day. Dale Earnhardt preparing for this try at his 8th win at Talladega. And we'll be back to tell you that Dale Earnhardt story after we pause.
CBS Sports coverage of the Sears Diehard 500 is sponsored by Diehard, saluting race fans everywhere. Diehard, tried and true. Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? And by Pennzoil. Stop, go, Pennzoil.
Welcome to the Talladega Superspeedway, one of the fastest tracks in the world. For the 10th year in a row, Sears is proud to be a sponsor of the Diehard 500, and we're pleased to again welcome all of the Diehard 500 race fans who are so much a part of this sport. This year's race promises to be a great one, so let's have an exciting and safe race, and best of luck to all the Diehard 500 drivers and crews. Thank you very much.
42 drivers now preparing for a go at $1.9 million. There's the temperature at 75 degrees. The winds, they are an issue. They'll be blowing right over the windshields as they dive down into turn number 1 here today. Hey, from starting grid to finish line, nobody brings you closer to the action than CBS Sports Line. Check out the Coach's Edge for a breakdown of the fast and furious action in and around the pits. Get on the fast track at cbs.sportsline.com. Man on the pole for today's race carrying a different livery. The livery of Davey Allison when he won this race 10 years ago for Ernie Irvan. And let's get more on the story right now from Bill Stevens.
Ernie has won his second Busch Pole of the year, but when you qualify, you're on the racetrack all by yourself. Here at Talladega, Ernie, you're going to need a waltzing partner to stay up front, aren't you?
Well, there's no doubt. You know, here at Talladega, you've got to have teamwork that happens, but everybody is out here to try to win this race, and you know, I don't think nobody's really going to help me, but then again, if it helps them, then they're going to help me, and I look forward to this. Talladega is one of the exciting races for the race fans, and we're looking forward to it. My wife's been sick, and I want to tell her that we love her.
We saw no caution flags in the spring race. Can that happen again today?
Yeah, sure can. You know, cautions, whenever we have a caution, it gets us bunched up. Then that creates another caution. So if we can get strung out towards the first part of the race, as long as something debris come off any of the cars, we can go caution free.
Remember, Ernie won this race back in 1992. Ken?
55 races without a win for the man who has won on this track more than anyone else, Dale Earnhardt. He is the story today. 2 seconds and a third the last 3 times out. Dale Earnhardt has enjoyed more success here at Talladega than anyone in the history of the sport with those 7 major wins. Yet Dale's most recent memories include the worst moment of his career right here in this race last year.
This CBS Sports Racing Profile is sponsored by Brewery Fresh Budweiser, the king of beers.
You could see the car, the flashes of the cars as the car was rolling. You see the flashes of the other cars hitting the car, and it was bouncing around quite a bit, and the pain was pretty sharp because I broke my shoulder in that first hit. And the danger aspect of it, you know, was pretty serious. It was pretty close to hitting home there.
As you get older and you get hurt, the window of opportunity to come back is very, very narrow, and you know that mentally.
I don't think it has an effect on me. It may without me knowing it, but I don't think it does.
On August 31st, Earnhardt mysteriously blacked out at the beginning of the race at Darlington. Doctors never found the reason for the problem.
That little situation that happened to us at Darlington, we went through a lot of tests and found out we were in great shape, in better shape than most people thought. I sort of wrote it off to that, you know, it's some kind of chemical imbalance.
You got plenty of money. Don't need that to keep racing. Is it worth the risk to keep on going?
Sure, to win. I mean, that's what we've always done. The money's never been a factor. We raced when we didn't have any.
He's the intimidator. You know, when he's at his best, watch out.
He's a dirty, rotten scoundrel.
Dale Earnhardt is bad to the bone.
He's not a guy that you want to have on your bumper here at Talladega on the last lap.
What makes you an intimidator?
Well, you know, on a given day, we're pretty tough to beat when we're right, and but if you get the car close, I can race with you and probably beat you if I'm on pretty close to equal terms or the car's close, and you know, it's been a long time since it's been that way, but it feels good to be racing like we have in the last couple of races. It feels like the old team we had.
This recent success that you've had, does that make you more content with the year and get you and the team pumped up?
No, not really. I mean, you know, we've not had a good year. And, you know, we're in the top 5 in points, and that's good. That's a competitive place to be, but we want to win some races. We still got 4 races to go, and we can win some races, and that might make the season look a little better. To end up on a winning note is what we'd like to do.
I think Dale Earnhardt is the best race driver that's ever been in a stock car. How do you feel about that?
Well, yeah, that's a big statement. You know, I think my dad was the greatest when it comes to racers, but and Richard Petty and all these guys, and I just love to race, Ned. I don't claim to be the best. I like to win, and we've really been fortunate. We've accomplished a lot in racing, and there's a lot of guys out there on a given day who can whoop your butts. And you got to work hard at it every day. I don't know that we're the best.
Will race 56 be the one in which Earnhardt turns it around? All eyes will be on number 3 today. Dick Berggren is standing by with a pit crew that stands tall behind Earnhardt.
Ken, for Earnhardt to win today, the 7 men who are seated on the wall must perform flawlessly. They are the 7 men who will jump over the wall and service Earnhardt's race car. Jimmy Elledge will do the front tires. Jerry Haley, who's seated beside him, he's going to carry those tires and index them so they fit perfectly on the hubs. Mark Armstrong is going to do the rear tires on the car. He's the guy on the right. David Rogers is going to carry him out. Armstrong is so focused on his job, he won't even put that wrench down during his entire tire change. Mike Moore, he's the man on the jack. He's a big guy. He's got to be. He's 6'4", 255 pounds. He's going to pick up this 3,400-pound stock car with one pump on the jack. His most important job, drop the car at exactly the right moment. When he drops the jack, Earnhardt knows it's time to take off. If he drops it too early, Earnhardt is liable to leave before all the lug nuts are tight. That would obviously be a problem. If he takes too long and drops it slow, well, Earnhardt wastes time on pit road, and he doesn't want to do that. Out back, Chocolate Myers and Steve Muse. Muse is the guy who catches the gas. Chocolate Myers is perhaps the most recognized face of all the men on pit road. He's been with Richard Childress for 15 years. His goal, get this nozzle right in the gas tank. These guys have performed very well in 1997. They have done a bunch of pit stops under 17 seconds. They're going to try to do that today and do it exactly right. Ken Squire.
Thank you, Dick. Coming up, Mike, Ned, and Buddy. And then we'll turn the juice on the Diehard. CBS Sports coverage of the Sears Diehard 500 continues after this message and a word from your local station.
Welcome back to Talladega, where they're getting set to start the Sears Diehard 500. Let's check with Ralph Shaheen. Excuse me. We're up here, and Ned Jarrett, 2-time Grand National champion, and Buddy Baker, a 4-time winner here at Talladega, where they race 2 wide and the fans don't even stand up. They're 3 wide all the time. Why is this place your favorite racetrack?
Well, it was built with speed in mind. It's 5 stories high in the corner. You can run 3 wide here without any problem. Close to 200 miles an hour down the straightaway. This racetrack is built for speed, and man, is it a great race.
Ned Jarrett, you've seen every race at Talladega since they built this place. It's so unique.
Yes, it is. It's very unique. A lot of things happen on this racetrack, and they happen in a hurry, Mike, but the competition is always great. More lead changes here than any other track. History has proven that. Now let's take a look at why this is such a competitive track. Start at the start-finish line, go down to turn 1, 33 degrees of banking through turns 1 and 2, down a long backstretch, 4,000 feet, a little over 3/4 of a mile, into turn 3, 33 degrees of banking here also off turn 4, then to the front stretch, which is 4,300 feet, and 18 degrees of banking through the tri-oval here and back to the start-finish line, which is the closest down to turn 1 of any of the tracks that they race on. A lot of passing done down that way. Now, how steep is 35 degrees? Well, you stood down at the bottom and looked up. It looks almost straight up. Try to walk up and down it, and it's a tough chore to do. 33 degrees in the banking, 18 degrees on the tri-oval. Lots of places to pass on this racetrack.
It's the world's fastest speedway. It's the world's most competitive speedway. Mark Martin won the fastest 500-mile race here ever this past May, and there's a look at Mark as he gets set to go to work from starting position 31. You'll be riding along with him, one of 5 drivers that will be carrying our CBS onboard cameras today. A total of 44 views will show you from around the speedway.
Diehard 500.
Let's go trackside for the command to get this field underway.
Trimatier.
Gentlemen, start your engine.
Coming up, the start of the Sears Diehard 500 from Talladega after this. Welcome back to Talladega, where the field moves out for the first of 2 pace laps to get this 500-miler underway. Here's the way they roll off behind that Pontiac safety car. On the pole, Ernie Irvan, 19th career pole and his 5th at Talladega, and John Andretti, the July Daytona winner. Row 2, Jimmy Spencer, the winner here in '94, and Jeff Burton, a 3-time winner this year. Row 3, Derek Cope has his best start of the season, and Terry Labonte his first top 10 start since July. Bobby Labonte, runner-up last week, and Jeff Gordon, defending champion of this race. Rusty Wallace looking for his first restrictor plate win, and Bill Elliott, the '87 winner. Robert Presley, best start of the season, and Dale Earnhardt, 5-time winner of the Diehard 500. Joe Nemechek, 6th last month at Richmond, and Ken Schrader, who won here in '88. Ricky Craven, 3rd at Daytona in February, and rookie Mike Skinner. Row 9, unsponsored Brett Bodine, 21st start here for Brett, and Dale Jarrett, runner-up here each of the last 2 years. Then Johnny Benson Jr., who was 9th here in May, and Lake Speed, who has 10 top 10s here. Dick Trickle had a 3rd at Bristol, his best of the year. Steve Grissom has 2 4th-place finishes. Rick Bass to the 75, and Wally Dallenbach Jr. with a pair of top 10s here. Jeff Bodine was 6th here a year ago, and Billy Standridge, his first start since Daytona. Michael Waltrip, 3rd here in spring of '94. Greg Sachs, 2nd here in spring of 1990. Morgan Shepherd has 13 top 10s here, and Sterling Marlin was the winner 2 years ago. Mark Martin, who won here in May, and Dave Marcus, the 1976 winner. Darrell Waltrip's won 4 Talladega races, and Bobby Hamilton in the top 3 in 2 of the last 4 here. Then it's Kenny Wallace and Chad Little, David Green, and Kevin LePage in his 2nd Winston Cup start. And the provisional starters, Ted Musgrave and Jeremy Mayfield, last year's pole sitter, Ricky Rudd, the winner at Dover and Indy, and Kyle Petty, who made his Winston Cup debut here in 1979.
There are 5 drivers who failed to make the field here for this race today. Ed Berrier, Gary Bradbury, Ward Burton, Jeff Green, and Hut Stricklin.
In today's race, there are 20 Fords, 15 Chevrolets, 7 Pontiacs. Ford has clinched the manufacturer's championship for 1997.
And we talked a lot this season about the super teams. They have won 24 of the 28 races thus far this year. Hendrick Motorsports up on the top of that list. Of course, Jeff Gordon has 10 wins for Rick Hendrick. Roush Racing, 4 for Mark Martin, 3 for Jeff Burton. Robert Yates Racing, 7 wins, 6 for Dale Jarrett, and 1 for Ernie Irvin, leaving only 4 races to be won by the so-called independent teams, the single car teams.
And Ricky Rudd has 2 of those. He owns the car and drives the car number 10. 42 cars starting today's race. 188 laps, makes up 500 miles. The fuel window, 50 to 55 laps. You get better gas mileage with the restrictor plates. A purse of $894,000. And the race record here is over 176 miles an hour that was set back in 1992 by Ernie Irvin.
Today you'll be riding along with John Andretti from the outside pole, the Econolodge camera mounted in Andretti's car, giving us this front row view as they sweep onto the back straightaway for the last time before they go under green. Bill Elliott be carrying the McDonald's race cam in his number 94 Ford, former winner here. And Ricky Craven, the butt cam is inside car number 25 from Hendrick Motorsports for Craven, starting 15. This is Dale Jarrett, 6 wins this season for Jarrett, the Ford Quality Care CBS race cam, going from the 18th starting position. And Mark Martin starting 31st. There's the Valvoline race cam. The car that Martin won with here in May was wrecked on the next to last lap in July at Daytona. They had to go to a backup car here for Talladega, the one he didn't have a lot of luck with in the Busch Clash, so he's way back at 31st.
You know, Mike, a lot of people will wonder, why do they run around several laps on under yellow like this before they actually get to racing? What they're doing is getting all the fluids in the car warmed up so when they go, they don't have any problems with lubricants or anything to keep the parts good.
Number of special paint jobs for this race you see on the pole. Ernie Irvin in the paint job that Davey Allison made famous here 10 years ago, scoring his first Winston Cup win here at Talladega. Dick Berggren.
John Andretti's crew has had a busy morning as dawn was breaking here at Talladega. They were in the process of changing engines from the one that they were going to run in the race to the engine that they qualified with. They thought that was just a little bit better. The transmission was out of the car. They found a little leak in the transmission, and they have got their fingers crossed that they've got this whole thing together right, because they were also welding on the right front fender. Mike?
Every seat is sold, 110,000 seats. Huge infield crowd, but nobody's sitting down. They're all on their feet for the start of this 500-mile race. Ernie Irvin brings them across with a car link on John Andretti as the field streams across 3 wide toward the back, and they all funnel down to turn number 1. double file from third place on back as they hit the back straightaway.
You see John Andretti in second there, drafting along with Ernie Irvan. And look back here, 4 wide down the back straightaway.
Didn't take long, Ned, for that to happen.
No, it didn't. There's Derek Cope down on the inside in car number 36. Jeff Gordon was up on the outside. There he is. Jimmy Spencer in the middle in the yellow and blue number 23 car. Bobby Labonte in the green and black number 18.
Oh, don't call Spencer Mr. Excitement just yet as he slides up in front of Gordon. 3 wide into the tri-oval. No big surprise. It sure takes your breath.
Oh, it certainly does. And that's the way they race here at Talladega. But boy, it is nerve-wracking to be in the center, the sandwich, the meat in the sandwich, buddy.
You know, Ned, they don't, just watching these cars, you think they're really flying on that first lap. They're not even up to speed with the restrictor plate. They're gaining up just about now. They're reaching close to 200 miles an hour down the back straightaway. They have full RPM now on the second lap.
Look at this third pack right there where they're 3 wide. Now, that running 3 wide could split that group off from these front runners that are single file.
Yeah, one thing that will help you get away from somebody else is for them to single out, like those 4 cars up front there right now. Other cars running side by side back there, that is definitely slowing them down.
4 leaders have broken off in a pack.
You know, just looking at, here's Earnhardt right here behind Rusty Wallace in the 2 car. They're working the lower part of the racetrack. Sometimes that's a quick. Look at Dale Jarrett go, making it 3 wide down into turn 1.
You're riding with Dale Jarrett as he shadows Dale Earnhardt around the low side. Earnhardt's car slides up toward Bill Elliott and then back down as they come to the back straightaway.
Here's Ken Schrader in the green car on the outside, number 33 going by Jarrett. Then another car comes by. It looks like that high groove might be the place to be right now.
Earnhardt senses that, moves up in front of, I think, Brett Bodine. Yes. That's what it looks like as Earnhardt goes up with Schrader, and now Jarrett will move to the high side, leaving Rusty Wallace and Michael Waltrip, then orange car on the bottom. And they are going to leave them, Ned. That outside groove is pulling them.
And Rusty Wallace slipped in there in front of Jarrett. Now that the others have singled out, Mike, they have caught up to those front 4 that pulled away for a little bit.
Way up high was Bobby Hamilton there.
You see the first 4 cars there. Terry Labonte in the number 5 car. I think this is his strongest run since Daytona this year. You see him there in 4th spot, running very, very well. New crew chief, a lot of changes on that team, but they got a great driver and a great car there.
Labonte, number 5, the defending Winston Cup champ. He was fastest in pre-qualifying practice here. The engineer of the train, it's Ernie Irvan, blowing the whistle and ringing the bell. He brings John Andretti, Jeff Burton, Terry Labonte, Derek Cope across the line to complete the 4th lap. Well, they all look coupled together.
Well, what they're doing right now, they're just finding the weakness and the strong points of the car and trying to find that line where they can keep the RPMs at the ultimate and still not abuse the car. These guys back here are trying to get track position. They're moving around, racing very hard.
37 there, Jeremy Mayfield, 81, Kenny Wallace in that group. There they are, right there.
You see Jimmy Spencer on the bottom there. He's not, he wants to go to the front. He never is happy unless he's leading. And when he does that, this bunch will come forward. You're riding with Mark Martin as they head down off turn 4.
Mark Martin started 31st. He's currently running in the 25th position. And that car right in front of him, Bobby Hamilton, in the car number 43, started in 34th position. And he is now up to 24th. So he's moving towards the front.
Michael Waltrip in orange there on the left has been down in that low lane, hasn't been able to get up in that high groove, and they've been working their way past the Wood Brothers car. Back up front.
Mike, we're getting a report from the upstairs. All the spotters are saying the upper lane seems to be the quicker way right now in traffic. So the guys trying to move up are trying to get to the high side of the racetrack and utilize all the air off every car out there.
Buddy, why would that be? More RPM in the corner or what?
Yeah, and what you don't want to do is go down on the bottom and maybe bind the car up. If you're back there and you have a good line of cars in front of you, you can keep her going just as fast as you want to on the high side there.
And I think the high side is better for those that are running back in the pack. Ernie Irvan is running on the low line coming around. That's working fine for him, but as they create that draft and that air up there, then it's easier to pick up on the high side of the racetrack right now.
Ernie Irvan's the race leader. He's led all 6 laps so far. John Andretti driving for Cale Yarborough, locked right on his bumper. Jeff Burton is 3rd. You're in the 2nd place car of John Andretti.
You can see Ernie Irvin's car there in the lead. Just jump around just a little bit in the back. That's very normal here at Talladega. The car sometimes will move a half a lane and you never move the steering wheel.
Wally Dallenbach has come from 24th on the grid to 14th in just 6 laps. Trans Am champion. Moving on up, and here's some of the heavy traffic. That's Billy Standridge, 47.
He's in a bad spot. He's right in the middle of everybody there and has nobody to really draft off of, and he'll just go right on back until he gets in line.
He surprised everybody by being the second round fastest qualifier yesterday. Moved up into the 26th position, but now he's moving backwards.
4 wide in the corner once again. A little smoke from one car down on the bottom. That could have been just debris kicked up. He was running so low on the racetrack.
Well, I know Sterling Marlin certainly hopes so. That's the 4 car of Sterling Marlin. He usually runs very well here, but right at the moment, he's just hanging on.
Marlin started in 30th position. He's dropped about 4 spots.
34th right now being shown. That car, the Morgan McClure number 4 Kodak car, has won at least one restrictor plate race every year since 1991.
Up front, challenge for 3rd place.
That's Terry Labonte. I was just talking about him. He's trying to move into 3rd there on the high side of the racetrack, Mike.
Jeff Burton staying low on the bottom as they come through the tri-oval. That's where the start-finish line would be at Daytona, but here at Talladega, way down here toward turn 1.
Boy, it's nice to have a team car just on your back bumper there. Look at Spencer on the bottom side. He's moving up also.
Okay, what happened there? Terry Labonte got up there and he couldn't go any farther. Jeff Gordon ran up on him, had to back off, and when he and the number 36 car, Derek Coke, backed off, that gave Spencer a run down on the inside. You can't back off on these cars. If you do, then it's going to cost you some speed. It takes you a while to get that speed back up, but Labonte's going now.
It's going to cost Ernie Irvin the lead. And here comes Dallenbach in that white and green number 46 moving up on Bill Elliott. He's underneath Kenny Schrader, Skull car.
You see the 40 car there, that's Greg Sachs. He took over for Robbie Gordon in this race car, and he really runs well on a place like Talladega.
Terry Labonte will lead lap 8. First driver other than Ernie Irvin to lead this race. He's going to tow Andretti and Jeff Gordon along with him in the high groove. Derek Cope has also gotten up top there. Boy, Labonte is by himself. That won't last.
I bet he feels like Tarzan right now. You know, he's had a really tough year. He hadn't won this year. We all know he's a winner, and to be out front, that's got to help the crew, got to help him.
4 wide, back straightaway again. For more on Terry Labonte, who's the new race leader, here's Ralph.
Mike, Terry Labonte and crew have been licking their chops waiting to get to Talladega. This is the only team in the field that has finished 10th or better at every restrictor plate race this year. 2 seconds at Daytona and a 6th here at Talladega in May. But you might remember, starting in Michigan in June, they finished 35th or worse 5 times this year. So they were anxious to get here to Talladega and run up front again.
That's right, Ralph. It's the first time Labonte's led a lap since Watkins Glen, and it's the first lap of a restrictor plate race he's led this year.
Ned, you can see John Andretti on the outside. He's not getting any help from anyone. That yellow car just on the left side there is Jimmy Spencer trying to take over 4th.
And Mark Martin making some moves. He's on the outside of Greg Sachs, who's in the number 40 car today. Martin started 31st. He said the car won't run by itself, but let me get some traffic and I can go. He has gone. He's up to 15.
What a shot that was. You think they don't bump draft here? 2 cars were bumping each other down the straightaway, trying to nudge him ahead. You can pick up 100 or 200 RPMs by pushing a car down the back straightaway here.
Wally Dallenbach has gained 17 positions, Martin 16, and Morgan Shepherd has picked up 15 spots since the drop of the green flag. You wonder where everybody else went. 4 wide again down into turn 1. And they'll keep that up all day long. 11 laps complete. Terry Labonte leads pole sitter Ernie Irvin in the Diehard 500. Welcome back to Talladega. Terry Labonte, the defending Winston Cup champion, hasn't led at Daytona or Talladega all year until now. He has that number 5 in the wind. Ernie Irvin and John Andretti staying close up to them. Labonte led a bunch of cars around the outside of Irvin, who snuck in before anybody else could get past. Jeff Burton is 3rd, Jeff Gordon is 4th, Bobby Labonte, Wally Dallenbach, Dale Earnhardt, Derek Cope, and Ken Schrader are the top 10.
Those 10 cars have broken away a little bit from the next cars, which are Dale Jarrett, Bill Elliott, and Jimmy Spencer, but they're hooked up together now, so they're beginning to move in on the front 10 cars.
Here they go. They're starting to make a move down into turn 1. Here comes Ernie Irvin on the bottom side.
You think it's coincidental that 2 Fords went together to pass the Chevrolet, either of you?
Well, he's in trouble now. Terry Labonte we're talking about in the yellow and red car coming off the corner there, but he has help now.
Yeah, he has a help. That man right there behind him is Jeff Gordon, his teammate, and his brother's right back there too. Bobby Labonte in the green car is coming up right behind Jeff Gordon.
Well, all the Fords on the low side and all the Chevys and Pontiacs on the high side. I wonder how that happened.
Well, that's an interesting point.
And this is very early. That'll change as we go through the day.
Well, there are the Fords on the bottom. Irvin, Andretti, and Burton. The Chevys up in the high lane. Labonte, Gordon, Pontiac, Bobby Labonte there.
Mike,
and Earnhardt.
Mike, you know Jeff Gordon sitting there just behind his teammate would love to lead 1 lap to get that 5 bonus points. That's very important in the points race here.
Ernie Irvin's car has that unique reminiscent paint job. Dick Berggren tells us more.
Paint job that they had here in 1987, Mike, when Davey Allison won his very first race and Robert Yates Racing won its very first race. They decided to commemorate the occasion with this very special paint job. Robert Yates, however, is doing something extra special. All the prize money Robert would ordinarily get from this event will go to the grandchildren of Bobby Allison, the children of Davey and Clifford Allison, and they're doing die cast on this car, and all that money as well will go to the grandchildren. It's a great gesture by Robert Yates and his team, who are racing for some small kids.
That is a great grand gesture by Robert Yates. All those model car sales, everything will go to Bobby's grandkids. That's very touching.
Very, very. I'll tell you what, Ernie Irvin just showed me he has a great car, but he's running right by himself. The other Fords do not seem to be able to run with him in the corner, and right now the Chevrolets on the outside there look to have the advantage down the back straightaway.
Now, Jimmy Spencer was up with that pack, but Spencer came out of that pack quicker than a hot dog shooting out the end of a bun.
Okay, would your teammate give you 5 points here?
We'll see. There's Spencer. Jimmy Spencer is backslid to 12th. Every time the line, Spencer went one way, the draft line would go the other. Derek Cope sweeping way up high with Wally Dallenbach in the green car. Ned, can you hold your breath for another 170 laps?
I don't know if I can or not, Mike. They are really dicing it up, and that's what we always expect when we come here to Talladega.
Hey, guys, put it on hold. Just looking for a spot right at the moment. Who do you think's moved in there? None other than Dale Earnhardt, the favorite. Anybody you ask in the grandstand or even in the booth here feel that this is Earnhardt's day.
Yeah, I went in here with the strong feeling that this would be his day, and he's proving right now that he has a fast race car.
Why is that so? He's won this race 5 times. With 7 victories, he leads all drivers in wins here at Talladega. He's been in the top 3 the last 3 races in a row, and the feeling in the garage area that Earnhardt is back 100%, that the team has gelled, and everybody is looking for him in their mirror today. Terry Labonte leading his teammate Jeff Gordon, Bobby Labonte, Dale Earnhardt, and Wally Dallenbach climbs to 5th position. First 7-place cars, all Chevys and Pontiacs. They've shuffled those Fords in the bottom groove, buddy, back to the end of the top 10.
The one thing about Talladega, we're subject to change. If you're riding with Dale Jarrett right now, I'm sure that they're getting readouts from guys everywhere, spotters around the racetrack in the pit saying, Dale, try this, try that. They'll be all over this racetrack before the day's over, trying to find the fastest way around.
And Ned, this was another car in practice that didn't look all that great out in the track by itself, but when it got in a pack and could draft, like Mark Martin's, it could go to the front.
It's amazing how some cars won't qualify well, but yet they will run well in the draft. And that's what you want. You want to start as far up front as you possibly can, but you'd rather have a car that'll really drive good in a draft.
Buddy, how important is qualifying here? How much slower than that pole car can you be and still hang in that lead draft and have a chance here?
Well, Mark Martin qualified way back in the field there, and he's moving right to the front. It's a good race car. It runs good in the traffic. But let me tell you, I'd rather have a fast car than just a good car. I can work on the handling, but I would rather have a fast car at Talladega.
Mark Martin was 3 miles an hour slower than Ernie Irvan, but he's hanging right with that lead pack. Here's Mark.
See him looking in the mirror. He's checking them out. See who's there, who's on the right-hand side, who's on the left side. That's very important here to know where everybody's at. If you move over in a car here, 200 miles an hour, you touch, you're in the wall.
Two teammates took each other out just that way in yesterday's ARCA race here. Look at the way Martin holds the wheel there. He's really unique the way he's in the corner with his hands on that wheel.
Ned, you and I can talk about this a little bit. In the corner, when Mark Martin first started racing, he was very, very small, just over 100 pounds. And to make the car turn, he used both hands on the left side. Now watch him when he goes in the corner. Both hands over on the left side, he starts turning into the corner there. All the way through the corner, he has both hands right together. That's the only way he can turn them without power steering. Watch his hand come back when he gets to the straightaway. Goes back to the regular position.
Let's go back up front, buddy.
Bobby Labonte has taken the lead in the Pontiac.
You better look at that outside groove there. That's Earnhardt in the 3, moving up.
Dale Earnhardt goes past Terry Labonte the second, and if that outside row continues to be faster than the low groove, Earnhardt may come off turn 2 with the lead. Not going to happen.
I can tell you this, if he comes by here in the lead, you won't have to look to see who's in the lead. When he took the lead in Charlotte last week, you absolutely could not hear the cars over the roar of the crowd.
He's got to get past Bobby Labonte to do it, and Labonte has now led his 10th race of the year, and Labonte leads a restrictor plate race for the first time this season.
Derek Cope very high. That's the car up there on the outside. He was 3 wide there for a moment, but got back into 2 wide.
And he's been running that high line, especially through the tri-oval all afternoon. Now Earnhardt on the outside of Jeff Gordon, and look, everybody's drafting with Gordon. Earnhardt looking for a partner. Here comes Jimmy Spencer on the outside.
And the Labonte brothers, Bobby and Terry, leading them as Gordon and Earnhardt run side by side there for the 3rd position.
They need to single file out if they want to keep up with the leaders. Bobby Labonte and the Pontiac, I maybe thought they wouldn't be that competitive here, but the Pontiacs seem to be back now. They're running very well. In the last couple of races, they've been the car to beat.
Gordon tried it on the high side. It wouldn't work for him. Now he has come down to the inside, trying the low groove. Now he's on the inside of Earnhardt.
And he's got Ernie Irvan and that white-nosed Thunderbird with him.
Now you watch the action pick up here as Earnhardt and Dale Jarrett start running. We've watched the Dale and Dale show before. They like to run together. They trust themselves. And just behind them, Jimmy Spencer. That's a fast train.
Meanwhile, on the inside, Elliott's there. Michael Waltrip has fought his way back up into the front pack. And Wally Dallenbach has dropped to the low groove in that green and white Chevrolet.
And Bill Elliott caught in the center. Right there he is in the center. 3 wide. That's the place you don't like to be. But sometimes you can't help it. Boy, look, how many wide is that? The racetrack is about 65 feet wide, and they're using up most of it.
Well, Elliott muscled Michael Waltrip, who muscled another car down to the inside. That's how they got 4 wide.
You think a brother might help a brother?
They're trying. You ride with Dale Jarrett. Who's he going to go with here? Bobby, or rather, Jeff Gordon on the left or Earnhardt on the right?
I think he'll go with Earnhardt on the right. He trusts him. I think he trusts Dale Earnhardt. Not that he doesn't trust Jeff Gordon, but he can't get down there, first of all, to get behind Jeff Gordon. But I think that he's comfortable up there with Earnhardt. He has seen how far Earnhardt has come from back in the pack and has come up there near the lead. So he said maybe he's got something that I can draft on.
25 laps complete here at Talladega. Bobby and Terry Labonte out front. Dale Earnhardt on the outside trying to hold off Jeff Gordon on the inside for 3rd. 38 more right behind them. We'll be back to the fastest speedway on earth, the Sears Diehard 500 live on CBS. We've got a new leader. Jeff Gordon took it a lap ago, and he may lose it before they come back around. Earnhardt has decided to try the bottom groove, trying to lead his 8th race of the year.
He was up there in 4th place riding the high groove, going into turn 1, Mike, and he just drove it straight down across the racetrack to the low side, dipped down on the inside of Gordon, and working on the lead.
Don't count Earnhardt out yet. You see him coming there. Wally Dallenbach in the 46, the green car just behind him. These cars are picking it up and putting it down.
Nobody's in their seats, and Jeff Gordon will lead that lap. Now Gordon has picked up 5 bonus points as Earnhardt goes to the point. Gordon has picked up 5 points for leading a lap. He came in here with a slender lead, he said, on Mark Martin and Dale Jarrett for the championship, 125 points. So it's now at 130.
You know, we talked about which was best, the high groove or the low groove a little bit earlier. I don't think it matters right now. I think it depends on which car that you're drafting with and the brakes that you might get going into the turns.
You see Earnhardt, he pulls ahead going in the corner. Gordon in the 24 on the outside there. He speeds up a little bit, but they're basically just running the same speed around there. It's your second car there that'll have to do whether you get the lead or not. If they can push you by, you can take the lead.
And Earnhardt will lead this lap as they come across. 4 of the 8 races that Dale Earnhardt has led this year have been the restrictor plate races at Daytona and Talladega. The others, Charlotte, Pocono, Dover, and Charlotte in October. For more on Dale Earnhardt, here's Dick Berggren.
Mike, we can hear the roar of the crowd as Earnhardt took the lead above all those engines, and nobody is smiling broader today than Richard Childress, who's watching our broadcast. What do you see in your race car, Richard?
Well, it looks like a traffic jam on Friday evening. You don't know which lane you want to be in, and you know, Dale's doing a super job. You know, he's the best when it comes to drafting, and you know, we got a good car. We just need to be there at the end.
You got a good enough car to win this thing?
Well, we hope so. Everybody's worked so hard, and you know, Dale's driving his heart out, so we'll see.
They've got 2 seconds and a third leading up to this race, and they're leading right now, Mike.
The car right behind them, though, Dick, has come the furthest today. Wally Dallenbach from 24th starting spot. Former Trans Am and IMSA GT champion has brought that car to 2nd place. Son of a great racer, Wally Dallenbach, as is Earnhardt, of course. And Ernie Irvan, the pole sitter, and that white number 28 sitting 3rd.
You know, I'm looking at the top 4 cars, and Sabata's cars are running 2nd and 4th right now. So Greg Sachs giving the 40 car a good ride also.
He's up to 4th after starting 28. And Michael Waltrip's climbed a lot, and there's Spencer in that yellow car, way up on the high side. The draft is somewhere else. Ernie Irvan's turned the fastest laps of the day. Best 193.8 miles per hour.
And if you'll notice, that was back on laps 5, 6, and 7 when he turned those fast 3 laps. That's when the tires were relatively cool. They had them up to full speed right then. As the tires get heated up a little bit, they'll slow down a little. Not a great deal, but they were running single file back then too, and that helped him quite a bit at that speed.
Riding with Bill Elliott. Looking back, that's Mike Skinner on the inside, number 31. The total distance, as you look back from Dale Jarrett and Michael Waltrip on the right, Bill Elliott on the left, from 1st to 30th place. Start the watch, stop it. 1.8 seconds. Wow. Back to 30th place. Battle for 2nd place. And there is that whole field spread by less than 2 seconds. 4 abreast again. Buddy, what are you laughing at?
I just love this. I tell you what, I think about the many days that this was as close to heaven as I could possibly get. To be anywhere in that top 30 right there, I loved it. I love this racetrack.
Wally Dallenbach challenging for the lead. They get 3 wide behind him, and Dallenbach is going to pull the train around the outside track.
Well, some others down there think that the low groove might be the place to go. There's Rusty Wallace right there down on the inside. He's trying to draft with the group down there, including Mark Martin, but Earnhardt not giving up that lead easy.
On the outside there, the 2 Sabatas cars, teammates. If Greg Sachs can get up there, Wally Dallenbach might lead his 1st lap here today.
And this might be on audition for Greg Sachs in number 40. Robbie Gordon has left that team. And Jeff Burton's in trouble here in the 99, one of the 3 Jack Roush cars.
He has lost the draft. Darrell Waltrip had lost the draft earlier, but I'm sure there was some reason for Jeff Burton losing the draft here. Maybe lost a cylinder or something, but that's really going to hurt him. The man that's 4th in the NASCAR Winston Cup point standings.
Boy, they funnel back down as they come off the corner and then spread once again in the back straightaway to 4 wide back from this group. Wally Dallenbach has climbed the ladder here, Dick Berggren.
It's really surprising that Wally Dallenbach would be doing this well, because he just got a brand new crew chief, Terry Shirley, on Monday. Now, Terry, it's supposed to take teams 6 months or a year to get together. How have you managed to put this guy out front so fast?
Well, I tell you, this whole First Union team really worked hard this week on this car. I tell you, she's a good Chevy today. Wally's doing a heck of a job for us out there. And we're going to keep him right up there all day.
And the word that we have gotten on Jeff Burton is a possible broken shock absorber, Mike.
Thanks, Dick. There's Burton. His last lap was 174 miles an hour, and it's left him all by himself. Terry Shirley, formerly with Dave Marcus, the new crew chief for Dallenbach. Let's check with Ralph Shaheen.
Well, Mike, that's exactly what the story is on Jeff Burton at this point. Talking to the crew down here, it is a broken shock that they're expecting to find as a problem on Jeff Burton. When they get a chance, they'll bring him down pit road, hoping for a caution, get an opportunity to take a look at it.
Well, they've got to hope it's the shock that they can change. If it's the shock mount that has broken loose from the frame, that'll be much more difficult.
Either way, the shock is very, very close to the tire and the wheel, so if it ever gets over and starts rubbing, it can create a problem.
Dale Earnhardt leads Ernie Irvan. 36 laps complete. Michael Waltrip muscles his way to third, with Dallenbach fourth and Greg Sachs fifth.
This CBS Sports Race Summary is sponsored by Brewery Fresh Budweiser, the king of beers.
After 37 laps, 98 miles, 151 laps remaining. We've had 5 different leaders, 5 lead changes, and look at that speed. 189.7 in this caution-free race. Everybody's out there still trucking. It's a dandy at Talladega. And let's get back with Mike, Ned, and Buddy.
Thanks, Ken. Jeff Gordon is running by himself on the racetrack behind that 5-car breakaway. Now Gordon tucks up to them. Dale Earnhardt, your leader. Ernie Irvan in second. Wally Dallenbach, Greg Sachs, the 46 and the 40 car. And the yellow machine is Jimmy Spencer. Those Team Sabco cars having a big day for Felix Sabates. Dallenbach at 46 and Sachs in the number 40, replacing Robbie Gordon. Now John Andretti has moved that Cale Yarborough 98 up in that pack.
Here comes John Andretti on the outside in the red car there. He's got a very fast car, but he's been kind of shuffled around and can't find anybody to help him in the draft. Now he's up there where it counts, just behind the Sabates car we were just talking about, Dallenbach.
That's our Econology car cam with Andretti pulling up on Wally Dallenbach. Rick Sachs has been shuffled back to 6th on the last lap. Last lap, 189.5 miles per hour.
That's still pretty fast, as many laps as they have run. They've run over 100 miles now.
Well, time to start thinking about pit stops.
Yeah, they can, with these restrictor plate engines, they can go about 150 miles on a tank of fuel. Or close to it.
3 wide, back at the 7th position. 5-car breakaway. And now Dallenbach to the outside, hungry for second, as he works the outside of that white and black number 28 of Ernie Irvan.
Well, Ernie's kind of hung out to dry right now. No one to help him, but he has a very fast car. What he wants to do is get over towards the draft of these cars that are going by. He come to the inside, just opposite of what I said. But look at the Fords coming behind him. Mark Martin, a lot of the good Fords on the inside of the track.
Talk about a good Ford. There's a white car that's been running in the middle. We see those front 5 cars up there now as Wally Dallenbach does go into the lead. He's worked hard for it, and he finally made the pass.
Here comes Dallenbach for Felix Sabates, one of 3 cars that super team has in this field. And here comes Earnhardt. He was looking on the high side and then drops in line. And Gordon has fought his way back up to 3rd.
Mike, what happened there is Dallenbach went to the inside of the racetrack and looked in the mirror, and nobody was with him. He moved right back in front of Earnhardt there. Got great drive down in turn 1.
I mentioned a moment ago about a white car that's running in this pack. We'll see him here in just a moment as Andretti comes down to the inside. Well, he's really in that pack. Right in there is Billy Standridge. He started 26th here today, and he has done a masterful job of coming up there. He's got a great race car. There he is, right there in that car. He owns the car himself. Doesn't have much sponsorship, just some local guys that wanted to help him out a little bit in the steel business. And he's running up there with those guys that have a lot of financial backing.
Billy Hu makes his first start since Daytona in July and was the fastest second-round qualifier, and he is right up there. Standridge, 9th place. I hate to have to score this race the way they come across 4 wide.
Wow.
Here with Mark Martin.
You could hear Mark Martin go in there. Whoa! He got up into Greg Sachs, the 40 car there. They almost hit in the center part of the corner. Mark Martin, though, going in the corner, run up so fast you could hear him ease out of the throttle. They say they don't lift here. if you run up on somebody, that's the only way to keep from hitting them.
Absolutely. You don't want to back off, but sometimes you have to.
And look who's come from nowhere right to the lead pack, Sterling Marlin. Last time we talked about Sterling, he was 16th. There he is.
Mike, I'm going to tell you, this is just a great performance by this guy. No matter where he runs with the restrictor plate, he's always a force to deal with. A great car, but he does a lot on his own. He's a great driver on this racetrack.
Well, plus the fact that Shelton Runt Pittman, as everybody knows him by, is a great engine builder, has a good program as far as the restrictor plates are concerned. There they are, 3 wide for 3rd place.
Well, Sterling Marlin's team had it figured out. The restrictor plate engines first. Bill Stevens, what's that problem developing?
Yeah, it's toward the back of the pack, Mike. Right now, there appears to be some oil slightly leaking out of the 43 car of Bobby Hamilton. Dave Marcus has told his crew, when I come in for a pit stop, I'm going to have to get my windshield clean. Same with David Green. He's having a problem seeing. Now, those guys are at the end of the pack. We just received a report that Steve Grissom, up toward the middle of the pack, also is having a problem with oil on his windshield.
Here's Darrell Waltrip right here, about to go a lap down. He lost the draft about 15 or 20 laps ago, and boy, just a sitting duck out there, buddy.
Let me tell you what happened. Watch Darrell when all of them get to passing him there. The air gets built up again off all these cars. 200-mile-an-hour draft following every one of these cars. He'll look like he hit overdrive. He'll pick up. You see him getting out of the way. He knows he's a lap down, but he will fall back in and run the rest of the race with this bunch.
CBS Sports coverage of the Sears Diehard 500 will continue after this message and a word from your local station.
Coverage of the Sears Diehard 500 is sponsored by Goodyear, #1 in tires. AT&T, it's all within your reach. And by the more than 1,750 AutoZone stores across America. AutoZone, the best parts in auto parts.
48 laps complete at the world's fastest speedway. Dale Earnhardt back to the front. Sterling Marlin and Wally Dallenbach duking it out for second. Marlin with the advantage now as Dallenbach in that high lane gets slid back a little bit, and they fan out once again.
Tried to go 3 deep into turn 3. Jimmy Spencer was down on the inside. He's in the yellow and purple number 23. This one right down here.
Yeah, just on the inside there, the first car on the inside. Our pole setter in Daytona 500 this year, Skinner, is really running very well. He's moved up through the pack also.
Started 16th, running up to 3rd. Now kicked back to 5th. Dale Earnhardt led the most laps here in May of 1976. Or in May of this year, 76 laps. Excuse me. Buddy led the most laps here in 1976.
Imagine.
Yeah.
Okay, here we have it. Earnhardt, he's out there. Watch him come back over, trying to keep that draft off the car going by him there. That's why he moved down, so he would get the pull off the inside car there.
Yeah, the yellow car is Sterling Marlin down on the inside, car number 4.
First car to drop off the banking for pit stops, Jeremy Mayfield here at lap 49. That's a little early, we think.
A little earlier than we thought they would come in.
So for more on pit strategy, Dick Berggren, when will they be in?
Well, Mike, anytime after lap 50, we could expect to see some of the cars. The better cars are talking on the radios about coming in lap 55, 57, somewhere around there. Crews on pit road doing stretching exercises, talking to each other. The most important thing they can do right now is not run so far they run out of fuel. These restrictor plate engines will actually melt pistons if they run them out of fuel while running wide open. And they don't know exactly how far they can go so far because they haven't done runs as long as this on race day conditions. So
Sterling Marlin, Dick, is waving his arm back and forth. Is he looking for help, or is he coming in? Bobby Hamilton's in. But as he went down the backstretch, you could see inside the car waving back and forth.
I don't know if he was waving for Earnhardt to follow him, or is he coming in? He's coming in. He's coming in. He was letting them know that he was coming in. And he didn't do what Dick Berggren was talking about there. He did not want to run that car completely out of fuel and burn a piston.
Now are you surprised he's coming in alone?
Well, maybe he had no choice. He might have seen the fuel gauge might have started fluctuating and said, hey, it's time to go. Let's go to the pits and Ralph Shaheen.
Now they're planning on bringing Sterling Marlin down. He will make his way down pit road and come to a stop. The crew goes over the wall, and they will take 2 right side tires. No chassis changes. There's
trouble. Ralph back straightaway. Trouble. 1, 2 cars. It's Stanbridge who goes spinning. And he may have gone by himself. just as they came off turn number 2, it looked like the back end came around on Billy Standridge.
What a terrible break for Sterling Marlin. Everybody else is running right now.
Good break for Sterling Marlin. He's not going to lose the
he's back out.
He's back out. Everybody else will come in under caution, and he'll get up the front if they got all 4 tires changed.
And a big break for is that Kenny Wallace, who's just in front of the leaders. Here comes Mike Skinner to lead them across, and Wallace will stay on the lead lap. Big break for Phil Martossi's team.
Absolutely, and he will be one of those who just made a pit stop, so he'll be up the front of the pack. He won't have to stop. The others will. So
now Marlin did not lose a lap. As soon as they heard there was trouble on the racetrack, they got him out of the pits. And these leaders did not overhaul him before they came back to the caution flag. So Billy Standridge, who had a great run going and was up into the top 10, comes a grief coming out at turn 2 and brings out our first caution of the day. You can see the tire marks on the right side of Standridge's car. Apparently contact with another machine sent him spinning, and the right front is flat.
Now this will be a break for Jeff Burton. We had documented that he had been having a problem as Standridge comes into the pits hot, real hot. We'll take a look at what happened. 3 abreast. Here's Standridge in the white car down on the inside, and that's John Andretti in the middle.
Derek Cope got up against the wall there, Ned.
Yes, and so apparently the 98 of Andretti and the 47 of Standridge made contact when Derek came down off the wall. We'll look at it again. Here they are coming off of turn 2. Andretti and Cope did make contact, and Andretti went down into the 47 car of Standridge.
Right in front of a couple of lucky guys.
Yeah. One of them, Bill Elliott, he just did get by on the inside there.
Look at the wallop that Derek Cope takes into the wall here. That car actually gets off the ground. Bam. And here comes Standridge right across town traffic.
Wow, that's amazing that he was shot across there with all of that traffic and no one hit him. Pit road is open, and everybody headed for the pits. There's Standridge. He's been in the pits trying to get that damage repaired.
And look, John Andretti, he was the meat in that sandwich, and he didn't fare too well. Those wheel marks on the right side of his car, Derek Cope's. The ones on the left side are Standridge's. Tony Furr and crew go to work on John Andretti's car. Dick Berggren.
Dale Earnhardt is in as well. 4-tire change for everybody we're seeing on pit road right now, Mike. Later in the game, it may not go that way. Earnhardt's car just a tad loose. They're adjusting that with tire pressure. They have not put a bolt or a wrench on any of those chassis bolts in the car. Let's go to Bill Stevens.
A little bit of a problem for Bobby Labonte's pit stop. They finish it up, but they had the jack slip underneath the car and then go sideways. They had to get under the car again. 4-tire stop, as you mentioned, Dick. And we just received a report that Johnny Benson ran out of gas just before he came into the pits.
Boy, that'll drop Bobby Labonte way down the order as he comes off pit road. Probably take him out of the top 20.
Yeah, and Terry Labonte, his brother, also had a slow pit stop, and he's way back there. And here's Cope in the Skittles Pontiac. They're buddied a lot of marks on the side of that car. Of course, he got into the wall.
He's very lucky. If he didn't bend the rear end housing, the back part of the car really looked like it hit very hard. You can see it just in front of the right rear tire where it hit the wall there.
So pit stops the order of the day, and the big loser on that, Bobby Labonte, drops back to 28th spot. We'll be right back. Coming up next, CBS Sports takes you to historic Williamsburg, Virginia for live final round coverage of the Michelob Championship at Kings Mill. Duffy Waldorf 12 under after 3. David Duval 3 strokes back with Fred Funk and Kirk Triplett, and Grant Waite will shoot it out live on CBS later today. And after the race, jump on CBS Sportsline for a complete summary, including the latest news, standings, and schedules from NASCAR. Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern. Chat with NASCAR writer Richard Huff to get an insider's point of view. And stay on the fast track at cbs.sportsline.com. There's John Andretti back on track after damage. And the other car who's going to be a big loser on this pit exchange is Mark Martin, whose tire rolled across pit road. Martin will have to start in the back. Now here's what happened from John Andretti's viewpoint.
Well, he was right in the middle of 3 cars, and you could hear him have to back off, and you could hear him also when he made contact.
Ned, you could see him turn into the slide there. That's when a good driver knows what to do. He turned it right into the slide, but he's got something dragging there. That's the the part that runs down to keep the air from getting under the car there is torn there just at the door. You can see it kind of holding back there. Does not hurt anything, but they'll make him come in and take it off.
54 laps complete. We're working the first caution of the day. In fact, the first caution of the year here at Talladega Superspeedway. The May race was run caution-free. We'll be back to the fastest speedway on earth live on CBS after this. Welcome back to Talladega. After pit stop, Sterling Marlin, Jimmy Spencer, Ken Schrader, Greg Sachs, and Mike Skinner are the front five. Last night here, just about 7 miles from the speedway, 3 very special names in racing were inducted into the Talladega Texaco Walk of Fame.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is our pleasure tonight to celebrate and honor 3 new inductees to the Talladega Texaco Walk of Fame. Please join me in welcoming to the stage Mr. Buddy Baker, Mr. Ned Jarrett, and Mr. Dale Jarrett.
Talladega has always been very special to me, but the real reason that I enjoyed racing was people like you out there, the fans, and I still love you to death.
The sport of auto racing has been very good to the Jarrett family, and we appreciate it more than we can ever tell you. And if it were not for the fans, then we wouldn't have a sport, we wouldn't have a job, and I hope that those of us in the sport never forget that.
Gentlemen, start the unveiling. Yeah.
Look at Dale Jarrett, who does not have his plaque riding on board there, but that's a pretty neat deal last night. Congratulations to both of you.
Well, thank you. It really was a neat deal, and we appreciate the fans voting us in, buddy.
I just loved it, and the chance to really visit with the fans and also to be inducted with such a great family as the Jarretts. That really meant a lot to me.
While we're on celebrations, Ned, happy birthday.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that, man. They just keep coming around.
Well,
good
hey,
thing.
Good.
One of the competitors out here has a birthday today, too. Morgan Shepherd.
That's right.
Celebrating his 56 today.
I kind of heard a little thing on you, Mike. Is there little bells in your future here?
Yep, and it's not the one that ringing when I hit the wall either. No. All right, for more on Derek Cope, who rung his bell against the wall there, let's go to Dick Berggren.
And he has visited pit road on several occasions, Mike. They've worked underneath the front end of that car, trying to line up the toe in on that car. They also changed the front wedge bolt, which is against NASCAR rules. But crew chief Ryan Pemberton went to the NASCAR official and said, look, the lower A-frame on this car is bent. Can we do it? And they've allowed him to go ahead and do that. The nose of the car seems okay. Hey, he may be all right. Ralph?
Well, Billy Standridge just climbed out of his car. Billy, what happened out there?
I guess, you know, maybe some air, another car took some air off my spoiler. I'm not really sure. You know, the car hadn't been loose all day, and just all of a sudden it jumped loose with me, so just not really sure what happened.
That was a good one while it lasted. To Bill Stevens at the other end of pit road.
Well, the racetrack may be getting slick. Earlier, we thought there was an oil leak in Bobby Hamilton's car. Then it was discovered that the rear end in Kenny Wallace's car was overfilled. He was losing grease. David Green said he was having a problem seeing. This is the plastic tearaway that came off his windshield during his pit stop. Look at the greasy kid stuff all over that thing. Try steering a car looking through that at 190 miles an hour.
Well, they had tear-offs for helmets on open-wheel cars. Now they have them for windshields as well. We're looking at a bit of oil on the track, trying to get that dried up, and we'll be right back to the fastest speedway on earth after this.
Sports Race Summary is sponsored by Econo-Lodge. Spend a night, not a fortune, at Econo-Lodge.
After 58 laps, 154 miles, 8 drivers have had an opportunity to lead, and that lead has changed 11 times. Average speed gets whittled down to 163 miles an hour, and it will be reduced a bit more as they're going to take another lap under caution here at Talladega, Alabama in the 29th annual Diehard 500. It's been a thriller to date with 33 cars most of the time in that lead draft pumping away for that first spot. I was particularly impressed by Mike Skinner. When Sterling Marlin came up to challenge Earnhardt, it was Skinner who pulled right along to try to help his teammate on that Richard Childress crew. He's still up there in the front of the pack, and he's going to be fun to watch from here on in. The guy that sat on the pole of the Daytona 500. All right, let's get back to the booth and Mike.
Thanks, Ken. Light is out on the safety car, which makes a sharp left turn to pit road. Sterling Marlin, Jimmy Spencer, Ken Schrader, Greg Sachs, and Mike Skinner are the front 5. They did not penalize Mark Martin. He is in 6th position. Mike Waltrip, Jeff Gordon, Wally Dallenbach, and Rusty Wallace, the top 10. We're back under green, and they're still coming up to speed as they come to the line.
37 of the 42 starters are still on the lead lap. Those cars down on the inside were 1 lap down.
Jeremy Mayfield, Bobby Hamilton, Dave Marcus, and Darrell Waltrip. Billy Standridge in the garage. Boy, this is a very strung out restart. It'll be a couple of laps before this field tightens back up again.
Well, they give them 2 laps of qualifying on the tracks where they run these restrictor plates at Daytona and Talladega, and they do that because it takes at least a lap for them to get up to full speed.
Now the freight train forms up, buddy.
Yeah, there's a freight train, and just behind this group, as you see John Andretti on the inside there fighting for position, you see right there Mark Martin is really making a run. He's coming on the inside now through the dog leg. Got a lot of people drafting with him on the low side. He'll be up front before too long.
Michael Waltrip moving up on Mark Martin, dancing around.
It was Jeremy Mayfield that they went around. Jeremy is a lap down.
And let's go to Michael Waltrip's pits. Dick Berggren.
Well, it's a little more than Michael Waltrip. It's also the 24 of Jeff Gordon, Mike. You know how they say when you go to Talladega, keep your nose clean? Well, Jeff Gordon picked up a piece of debris on the radiator screen of his race car. So they got on the radios and they had some conversation with Michael Waltrip's crew, and they said, do you guys mind if we come up and rub the front grill against your back bumper?
Oh, come on.
And they said, no, I'm telling you. And they said, no, that's fine. They got rid of the paper. To Ralph Shaheen.
It was a broken shim stack on the shock absorber of Jeff Burton's number 99 that put him out. They actually made 5 pit stops to get it fixed, and he is okay now.
Now the shim stack inside the shock absorber determines the rate at which the fluid or gas flows from one chamber to the other in that shock absorber.
He is still on the lead lap. Jeff Burton, we mentioned that he lost the draft there earlier when the shock broke, but now he's been able to repair that under caution and is on the lead lap near the end of the pack.
36th position for Burton. 37 cars on the lead lap. That yellow car of Sterling Marlin out front, and Mark Martin has fought his way to 2nd spot from 31st on the grid.
31st to 2nd, and this car is a rocket ship with help out there. Not very fast by itself out there, but hey, you're not going to run the 500 in Talladega by yourself.
That Valvoline in-car cam showing Mark Martin turning what, Nick? Close to 7,000 RPM.
That's about what they run these restrictor blade engines. Don't turn them nearly as much as they do the unrestricted engines. Sometimes they'll turn those upwards of 9,000 RPMs.
Now from the tachometer, that's the large gauge there on Mark Martin's dash. Then you've got oil pressure, oil temperature, fuel pressure, and then a voltmeter. Then there's that ignition switch that the safety crews can get to as well as the driver in case they need to shut things down.
And the reason they don't turn this engine is it's got a very small hole for the air and fuel to go through, and there's no point in turning it more than you have fuel and air to make it run.
Sterling Marlin will leave this team at the end of the season. He'll go to work for Felix Sabates and drive the number 40 car that Greg Sachs has a one-shot ride in today. Sachs currently in 7th place.
Boy, Michael Waltrip, the 21 car there, is running very, very well. Running 3rd right now. Jeff Gordon's doing what he needs to do in the points race. He's mirror imaging the 6th car, Mark Martin. 1st and 2nd in the national point standing. Running 2nd and 4th right now.
4 wide again as they come down the back straightaway. Peel off 3 abreast into turn 3. Sterling Marlin started this race in 30th position. A lot of those 110,000 people walked in here today and said, well, how much shot could he have? Or Mark Martin in 31st. And they're the 2 cars leading this race.
And Michael Waltrip, he started back in the 27th position. So didn't seem to matter where you start.
I must tell you that Talladega is not the Arrow. It's the Indian, believe me. Everybody has good cars. Look at Jimmy Spencer move up there on Jeff Gordon. Wow, they almost made contact, Ned.
They really did. As they came off of turn 2, they were very, very close. Here's Spencer coming back on the inside. He's the yellow and purple car. Ken Schrader in the green car right behind him, number 33, and they'll blow right on by Jeff Gordon. Looks like that inside groove is a place to be right now.
And they were almost 3 wide as Greg Sachs came down, and there's Sachs in that blue and yellow 40 car. Took the air off the car behind. I think that's Rusty Wallace there. Had to back out of it briefly. It was. Spotters talking their drivers through this race from a vantage point high atop the control tower here. And Spencer will exchange those purple and yellow colors for Winston red and white next year. Schrader way to the high side in that 33.
That's the first time Rusty Wallace in the blue and white car there. The number 2 has been up front today, but that car seems extremely strong around the bottom part of the racetrack.
There's Ernie Irvin going 3 deep down on the inside of Jimmy Spencer and Ken Schrader. That's back here in that area, that battle.
For the lead, Mark Martin underneath Sterling Marlin, and he's got a lot of help.
Greg Sachs in the 40 car right behind him, pushing him right on through.
And the 2 car of Rusty Wallace. Wallace comes to the front for the first time today. Started 9th.
So Mark Martin's going to pick up 5 bonus points.
And that'll put him even with Jeff Gordon on the day.
Exactly.
And put the gap back to 125 points. Gordon, the Winston Cup point leader. Mark Martin, second.
If you want to know how fast Greg Sachs' car is, the gray one there running in second right now, you're seeing it. He don't leave anything on the table. That's as wide open as that car goes. No strategy. He drives his heart out for 500 miles when he gets in a race car.
They called him Superman up in New England when he drove winning modifieds for Ernie Wilsberg before coming to Winston Cup. Won at Daytona in his own race car with a Robert Yates development engine. Dale Jarrett and Dick Trickle. Trickle in the 90 car. Stuck in a big pack of traffic.
You know, you just got a good look at Darrell Waltrip. He went a lap down because he lost the draft. Now he's riding along with this top 30 cars here and keeping right up. That's how important it is not to get out of the slipstream that these cars make around this racetrack.
Rush hour at Talladega. They continue to lap this place at over 189 miles an hour. 3 wide out of turn 2. Why is it always Jimmy Spencer right in the middle of the sandwich?
Well, I noticed him there a moment ago, Mike. Is his driving style that puts him there a lot of times right there. He likes to get right down next to the car going into the corner. That helps him, buddy, by staying close to the car going into the corner.
It does, because you have to remember the car that you're trying to go by is cutting a huge hole in the air. And what that does is there, and it turbulates over top of the car and actually pulls that second car forward. And if you can stay real close on the side there, there's a draft that runs down the side of the car that actually pulls you forward all the way to the front fender.
But when he's down there, it opens up a space up on the outside, and a car can get a run off of him and shoot by on the outside, and then that puts him in the middle.
And that's where he's been most of the day. You're riding with Mark Martin, who leads after 68 of 188 laps. He looks to the outside and now comes down to pick up the draft of the trailing cars. And boy, do they scatter behind him.
Scatter all over the racetrack.
This looks more like the fight to get out of the parking lot after the race here. Bill Stevens has more on the car to the right side of your screen. Rusty Wallace.
Rusty Wallace is jamming. I was talking to him yesterday. I said, Rusty, are you superstitious? He said, I used to be. I used to have a thing about tails up pennies. I hated them. In fact, if I had pennies on my nightstand at night, if they were tails up, I'd flip them over, or else I wouldn't be able to go to sleep. I said, hey, let me try something. I took a penny out of my pocket and I flipped it. And I said, let's see how you're going to do tomorrow. And the penny came up heads.
Okay. And Bill got to live another day. Here's Bill Elliott in 94, way up on the high side, and there's Jimmy Spencer stuck in the middle again.
And Rusty Wallace in the middle there as well.
From Bill Elliott's race cam, McDonald's cam looking ahead to Ernie Irvin. The yellow car is Spencer.
Wow.
Now you could hear Bill Elliott never lifted going in the corner, but you see race cars going by him. The reason for that, he was right behind the 28 car there of Ernie Irvin, did not have a huge tow. The cars that are back get a real tug and a pull towards them.
Now, folks, it doesn't seem like they're running close to 200 miles an hour when we're sitting there riding with Bill Elliott, but try to count those poles up on the outside there and you'll see how fast they really are going.
Yeah, those posts are spaced about 10 feet apart. They just disappear.
I've always thought of it another way. Just think if you had to turn left and go in the grass right now. it would let you know how fast you're going.
Absolutely. That's Wally Dallenbach just ahead of Elliott. You're watching the 8th and 9th place cars. You're riding with 9th place Bill Elliott.
Bill's still going that high route. His car apparently is working good up there, and it feels comfortable, so he runs up there. Here's a change of the lead.
Greg Sachs takes it over from Mark Martin, who has led 19 races this year. You're with Mark Martin in the Valvoline Ford.
You saw those Chevrolets hook up on the inside of him. Wasn't a whole lot he could do about it.
That's the first race that Greg Sachs has led since he led 3 laps at Daytona in February, driving Harry Renier's Ford. Earnhardt locked on to him, then Sterling Marlin. Is that Mike Skinner?
Mike Skinner.
Place.
That's the teammate for Earnhardt right there in 4th place.
And look how far back Mark Martin went in just about a half a lap. He's back in 5th place. Ooh, Earnhardt tried to make a move down on the inside. Everybody else trying to make moves a little further back. But they are dicing all over the place.
Mark Martin on the high line is still drifting back. You see he's now back to 8th, 9th place. Boy, Earnhardt and Sterling Marlin want the lead.
Marlin taking that outside groove. He's got a run going. He'll get by Earnhardt, at least momentarily. Glad to come back in the corner. Earnhardt's right back.
But on the high groove, Marlin in that orange number 4 has Mike Skinner and Jimmy Spencer with him on the outside. On the inside row, Greg Sachs, Dale Earnhardt, Michael Waltrip, and everybody else. Ernie Irvan, Dale Jarrett, Rusty Wallace.
There goes Earnhardt. He moved out hoping somebody would go with him. Marlin in the yellow car comes back up on the outside of Earnhardt. Sachs, he likes that. He likes to see those 2 cars running side by side back there. They're not going to pass him as long as they run side by side. Not likely to, at least.
But there's a lot of impatience lined up behind them.
I'd say there is. You see Mike Skinner there in the blue, number 31. He's just behind the yellow car there, Sterling Marlin. As they head down in the corner, everybody's trying to find out what car they run the best with. Believe it or not, just because it's Chevrolet does not make it run better with your Ford or vice versa. You pick a car that you really run well with, and it's aerodynamics. It's all aerodynamics, how much pull it gives you, and how steady your car is.
Mattatuck, New York's Greg Sachs has the lead. Ralph Shaheen has more.
And I've got his crew chief, Mike Yeoman. Mike, you got Greg out front. Can you keep him there?
Well, I'll tell you, I sure hope so. You know, we were really good in happy hour yesterday. Greg's done a heck of a job getting to the front of this line. You know, Team Sabco Motor Shop has really given us some good horsepower, and this team has really, you know, had good pit stops today. We just need a good break and a really good run for the, you know, for the Coors Light Chevrolet Monte Carlo, and hopefully at the end of 500 miles, we'll still be up in the front of this thing, you know. It really helps to have the experience of Sachs here. I mean, he's done one tremendous job. It's been really great. So hopefully we can hold on till the end.
Mike, Greg Sachs has found success on super speedways before.
Greg Sachs was holding on to it right there as he and Earnhardt about traded paint, and that time they did. This could get big.
That was big right there. Earnhardt's car looked like it was bolted to the racetrack, but look on the inside there. We have a new leader.
Boy, that just took the momentum away just enough for Dale Jarrett to fight to the front and drag Rusty Wallace down the bottom side with him.
Now, Jarrett has not led today, so if he needs those 5 bonus points to get back even with Mark Martin and Jeff Gordon, who have led,
he's about to get them. Dale Jarrett driving for Robert Yates. As his pole sitter Ernie Irvan brings them across. Dale Earnhardt in second and Rusty Wallace about onside for third. CBS Sports coverage of the Sears Diehard 500 will continue after this message and a word from your local station. While we were away, Rusty Wallace took the lead. Already he's lost it. Wallace to the front, and now Dale Earnhardt and Sterling Marlin have hooked back together. Ford's on the inside, Chevy's on the outside again. Imagine that. Earnhardt in black, Marlin in yellow. Here comes Wallace in white and blue.
well, Wallace really got a run going into turn 3. drafted up on the inside of Marlin.
Rusty Wallace, 12th different leader today. And for more on Rusty Wallace and his strong run, here's Dick Berggren.
Historically, Rusty Wallace's worst racetracks have been the restrictor plate tracks here in Daytona. But in '97, they found something under the hood. Mike Egge, the engine builder, has come up with additional 25 horsepower, according to Rusty, over what he had last year. That translates to about 3 miles an hour. The car they're running here had the best Talladega start in his career at 4th, and in July at Daytona, his best ever Daytona finish, 6th. Rusty is smiling a lot at a restrictor plate track. He's got a shot at this thing, Mike.
And that is certainly unlike his feeling of past years. Of course, Rusty has been up front, been turned over, turned in the fence, and turned every which way but loose or to victory lane. Today, he may have a strong shot, and here he comes on the bottom to take the lead back from Earnhardt.
And he'll lead this lap.
Ned, when we went to commercial, there was a lot of juking around in the middle of the pack, especially in the backstretch, and then it's as if everybody got on the radio and settled most of these fellas down.
Yeah, you wonder. We're pretty sure there's going to be a big wreck. I mean, the way it looked, and so I'm sure the spotters up on top said, "Hey guys, let's quieten down here a little bit. Go easy. We got a lot of racing to do yet."
Buddy, it's easy to say, but it's hard to do.
Exactly.
You see the two Fords there hooked up together. Earnhardt really was strong down the back straightaway. He's pulled even with Rusty Wallace as they go through turn 3.
Earnhardt, number 3 on the high side. Flipped and slid the length of the front straightaway here. Broke his shoulder a year ago. You'd never know it now. 3 wide as Dale Jarrett comes to the bottom, and you ride with him into the lead. That'll fan him out 3 wide.
I think he figured that his car was a little bit faster than Rusty's, and Rusty had not been able to move by Earnhardt. So he thought, well, let me just give it a go here and see if I can get out front and pull this group of Fords a little bit faster.
Ernie Irvan is right behind Michael Waltrip there. That orange car. You're riding with Jarrett, the leader. From first to last, 3 seconds.
Did you see Michael Waltrip there in the orange car on the outside? He thought he was coming over. Ernie Irvan said, "Hey, that's my spot. I'm taking it."
Yeah, sit, go, and Ernie said no. Back he went to the high side. Look, there's that whole pack covered by just 3 seconds.
Well, the fans don't have to gaze around all over the racetrack for their favorite driver. They can just look right at that one pack wherever they're at, and they're somewhere.
Now, Dale Jarrett has led the most laps of any Winston Cup driver this year, but this is the first time he's led at Daytona or Talladega, the restrictor plate races.
When he led a lap a few laps ago, that was the first restrictor plate lap that he led this year, which was surprising to me when Bob Lattrick gave us that stat a moment ago.
There comes Greg Sachs again. He's in the silver car on the inside there. He's got a train of fast cars with him, but Ernie Irvan's a match for him down into turn 3.
And moving up into that pack, Dick Trickle. Look at that aqua-colored nose on the black car in 4th place.
0 for 243.
That's
he's
a great
driver, I'll tell you.
And I'd love to see him win one.
He's a great fan favorite. Dick Trickle has a lot of fans around Barefoot.
He's won the nation over on the short tracks. He's right stuck in the middle, 4 wide once again. This time Spencer on the bottom. As you see it from Dale Jarrett's car. They fan out 4 abreast.
What Dale Jarrett's doing right now is getting a little rest. I'll tell you, back in that group, when you're running 2 and 3 wide, it's like somebody sticking an electric wire on you every once in a while because you just don't know what's going to happen next.
Looking out the back of John Andretti's car.
That's Sterling Marlin in yellow on the outside. And Mike Skinner to the inside. Kenny Schrader right behind. Who's that alongside? Trickle. That's Dick Trickle. Right alongside.
There they are, 3 deep again.
And that purple and yellow Camel of Jimmy Spencer right in the middle again. He must like it there. He must like a lot of company on both shoulders because there he is. And let's go to Dale Jarrett's pit and Dick Berggren.
And Dale Jarrett has been flying today. He has gone from 29th to 1st in just 11 laps at one point. Todd, that's a pretty awesome record, but this car has finished second 3 times here at Talladega. You going to beat second today?
Well, I sure hope so. You know, things weren't looking too good in practice yesterday, but, you know, we worked real hard on the car this morning, made some pretty big changes, and right now it looks like it's running pretty good. And, you know, we got a great race car driver out there leading that draft. He's pretty sharp at these places, and this place owes us one. We were second here last year twice, and maybe we can pull this thing out today.
And they've got a great crew here, too. Terrell Shaheen.
Tony Furr is a crew chief for John Andretti. Tony, you were from the front to the back and back to the front now. What's caused the roller coaster ride?
Well, you know, they're just shuffling us around right now. I reckon they don't want us to get out front like we did at Daytona because they know we'll dominate probably. So everybody's trying to shuffle us around sort of. So we'll just have to see what happens. We'll get up there before the day's over with. Just hang with us.
Mike, you fight to get respect, and then when you get it, they all want to kick it back down again.
Well, sure. You're riding with John Andretti, our Econolodge in-car cam. There's Andretti, and Kyle Petty comes up to battle him for that 10th spot.
That's Kyle Petty right there. Kyle is running good. He was 21st after the pit stop, so he moved himself up now to the top 10.
Dale Jarrett, your leader. Michael Waltrip scored in second. Greg Sachs, Jeff Gordon, Ernie Irvin, Dale Earnhardt, Wally Dallenbach.
What a move by Greg Sachs there to take the lead over Dale Jarrett down in the corner. You see Jeff Gordon going with Sachs as they head down towards the back straightaway. I tell you, that was a power move on Sachs's part.
And on Gordon's, he went from the 3rd floor to the basement in one fell swoop there in turn 2 and got a good run. Michael Waltrip lines up with Sachs and Gordon. Everybody picks a lane as they head for turn 3. 86 laps complete. Mowing down on halfway. One caution so far is all. Billy Standridge a spin out of turn 2. He's the only car in the garage. Dale Jarrett being towed along by Greg Sachs, and on the inside Jeff Gordon.
While they're fighting, you see the outside lane there. Look at Dale Earnhardt right up under Dale Jarrett as they went down the front straightaway. He assisted him down into that corner, Ned. I don't know whether he meant to or not.
Don't let me speak for a little bit.
That wasn't a hit. It was just a bunt.
But he got him out front, didn't he?
Did work.
I tell you, Earnhardt is a master at drafting, no doubt about it. You can't get no closer than that and not hit.
Wonder if our bumper cam still works. Sachs in second behind Jarrett. Gordon underneath Earnhardt. And way up in the 3rd floor, there's Jimmy Spencer in yellow again. Buddy, how high here can you run before you run out of room?
Mike, I tell you, you can take the lead in any lane here. If you have a great race car that handles and does not bog in the corner, when I say bog, I mean really drag down going into the corner if it's pushing, getting in, or loose in the center. You see these cars running in a straight line. These guys can pass in the 4th lane if they had to.
Well, Halloween's coming, and it's looking a little scary out there once again as we're back to 3 and 4 wide racing just behind this pack of cars. Look at them come off the corner.
Well, you could see Dale Jarrett. He went out, looked, and he said, hey, there's nobody out there. He moved back across. They swapped 4 lanes there, Ned, down the back straightaway, looking for the right. Look at this going in the corner.
That's Kenny Schrader up there in the green, number 33, and the number 42 there, if you can read my marks, is Joe Nemechek. He's right up in the thick of it. Here's Rusty Wallace in the white car down on the inside making a move, but Wally Dallenbach in the green car jumped right out in front of him.
Now, just a second ago, Rusty Wallace was leading this race. He's already back to 12th, and it was just positioning in the draft. He's moved that far back in that few laps there.
We're going to show you the bump again. You're with Dale Jarrett. Coming off the banking. There's Greg Sachs right behind him.
Can I tell Ned he made it before we look at it?
Now you're with Jarrett.
Earnhardt just, I don't know if he touched him or just run so close he probably felt like he touched him, but it just shot him right out in front.
3 abreast behind the leaders.
Boy, I think Dale Jarrett may be in trouble. Well, you see Earnhardt, he wants to go with DJ. He's on the bottom there. He's not helping Sachs on the outside there. It seems that he wants to get with Dale Jarrett as a drafting partner as they head into turn 1.
Is this a case of them wanting to go with the more experienced driver, Jarrett, rather than Sachs?
Well, Sachs is very, very good. I don't think you really would go that way. I think what they know is the 2 of them race very well together, and they trust each other. They would like to stay that way if they could.
And they're trying to figure out who has the best race car. They want to go with the best race car, too.
Well, who's coming up to go with Sachs but his old modified adversary, Jimmy Spencer. Coming up there to work with Sachs. Now, there they are up on the high side as you watch Dale Jarrett lead Dale Earnhardt. Now, Jeff Gordon's been right up in this mix. Let's go to Dick Berggren.
Dick Berggren is with Ray Evernham, who right now is talking to his driver. He just quit. You've been running up front all day, but not a whole lot of laps led. How is the car?
Dick, I didn't hear the last part of that, but car's been running up front. Driver's doing a great job. Of course, you know, he knows how to draft. The car's not as strong as we'd like it to be, but he's keeping it in a good, safe spot. The fans are getting a good race. I hope everybody has a good, safe race.
Can you adjust that car so it is as strong as you want?
I don't know if anybody's that strong. The best thing we can do is keep it in position so that Jeff can do something with it if he needs to. I want to say hi to Rick and Linda. Know they're at home watching.
And they're doing better, too. Rick Hendrick feeling a bit better these days. Mike?
Thanks, Dick. Right now, Gordon in a position to pick up 74 points on Mark Martin. Martin, of course, has led this race. So has Jeff Gordon. And so has Dale Jarrett, the third-place point man, 197 back of Gordon when we started the day with 4 races left in this season. Let's go topside to Ken Squire.
Well, we're bearing down on halfway here. 91 laps now complete, 242 miles. That window for fuel, I'm sure a lot of these drivers are looking forward to a green flag situation here on pit road and hopefully let the pits decide some of this race and cut down on this 33-35 car draft for the lead, with remembrance of July 4th, the Pepsi 400 this year, and that big altercation right in the third turn on the final lap that so dramatically changed that event. That has to be a factor in your thinking as you get to halfway here today with all of this group still bunched together.
Ken, it's one of the most exciting Talladegas I've ever seen, with this pack staying so tightly bunched 92 laps into this race.
Most of the time you'll see 8 or 10 cars maybe break away, and then you'll see another pack of 8 or 10 cars, but not the case here today. And part of that might be, as we see Earnhardt going for the lead on the outside, part of that might be the little bit cooler weather here in October. It's warm for this time of the year here in Talladega, but not nearly as warm as it is in July when this race is normally run and the track gets slicker.
Earnhardt back to the front. They'll be racing to the crossed flags for halfway this time.
$10,000 up for grabs.
Earnhardt, Gordon, Irvin. Andretti is up there. Spencer, and they've kicked Jarrett back to 6th spot. Off turn 4 to the trioval where the start finish is in Daytona, but not here at Talladega. It's well down toward turn 1.
Pay the man in black.
$10,000 ka-ching for Dale Earnhardt for leading the halfway lap. Halfway at Talladega, and we've got a 37-car breakaway on the field. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Talladega, where pole sitter Ernie Irvan has once again assumed the lead over Dale Earnhardt, and Jimmy Spencer's fought his way up to 3rd. 12 different leaders today. A very competitive Diehard 500 here at Talladega. Hope you're enjoying it with us. Ned Jarrett, 12 different leaders, and a lot of different cars have shown they can get to the front. But who can stay there?
No one has shown that they can stay there so far. It's been surprising. Most of the time you'll see one driver that maybe is a little bit stronger than the others, and the others want to follow him, but that hasn't been the case here so far today. There looks like at least 12 or 15 cars that can win this race.
Well, now, Buddy Baker, we've seen more. Have we 3 and 4 wide racing than perhaps we've ever seen at this track?
I think we got a little look at who had the muscle there on the $10,000 lap for halfway. I think Earnhardt right now shows a lot of muscle. I think he'll be there at the end. If he don't have trouble, I look for the man in black to do well.
Well, there's only 37 cars he's got to beat. That's the size of the lead draft, and look at this. 4 wide, and down in the grass goes 1 car.
That's Wally Dallenbach there.
Let's see if he can straighten. No, he doesn't take it. Caution is out.
And they'll race back to the flag. These are all lead lap cars at the front, so no challenge. Dallenbach slides up the hill and slides back down just in front of Darrell Waltrip. He must have got nudged off the grass coming off turn 2 and rode the dirt all the way down the backstretch. John Andretti leads them across the line as we're under caution for only the second time today. Wally Dallenbach from Basalt, Colorado, likes his off-road riding and his ski doing, but not that kind of off-road ride.
Mike, that was hair-raising. When you leave that surface over there and start bouncing through that dirt, it looks very smooth up here. It's very pretty, but it is rough down there. You could see the car jumping and bouncing as it went down through the grass. It lost traction. He was just along for the ride.
Car looks okay as it comes around, and I believe Dallenbach will stay on the lead lap.
Yes, I don't think he did not lose a lap. He's 37th.
What he's trying to do right now, I think he has a flat tire there. You see it coming apart as he starts down in the corner there, but he's trying to get back to the cars that are under yellow so he can come in and change tires and not lose the lap.
Second caution of the day. Wally Dallenbach back straight away. One of the three Felix Sabata's cars in this race. You can see the left front's flat and damaged.
Yeah, there is damage to the hood there. It looks like it's sticking up, Mike.
That's the pitfalls of trying to get back with the tire coming apart like that. Look at the damage to the left front and right front corner. Look at the fender on the right front there. It is torn completely off almost.
And those tires are just beating that sheet metal to death there.
Ned, I'm going to speculate that as you come down through that infield grass, there are a couple of paved access roads that lead out to the racetrack. And when you're going 180 miles an hour, you hit like one of those right there, and you hit one of those, it's like hitting a curbing. It could well have just taken and blown those two front tires right out.
Could have done it.
Because it looked like, as the car was rolling through the grass at first, that the tires were up.
Mike, you got to remember, he went back up on the racetrack and slid some 100 yards there.
True.
With the brakes locked up, too. That could also do it.
You're right. Pit stops for all the lead lap cars are in this time. Ralph.
John Andretti is in, and they're going to take just 4 tires on this car. Now, I want you to watch John Josie, the gas man, as he carries the can over. That can weighs 80 pounds. John has to come over a 3-foot wall and stick it into about a 2.5 to 3-inch diameter hole. This man is as athletic as any NFL lineman as he carries a big 80-pound can over the wall. The pit stop is complete. John Andretti, 4 new tires, no chassis changes. He's back underway. To Bill Stevens.
Well, Bill Elliott qualified 10th. He's been in the back of the pack. A pretty routine pit stop. They got 4 tires, the fuel, no chassis adjustments. And I asked Mike Beam, why is Bill staying so far back in the pack? He says Bill doesn't want to risk his track position right now. He has seen what's happened to other drivers. He doesn't want to fall into that trap. He's saving some for later.
John Andretti, who led them across the line, is the 13th different leader of this race. He led the most laps at Daytona in July. 5th time he's led this year. Here's what happened coming out of turn 2 to Wally Dallenbach.
Well, there he just shoots out of the pack. It's the green car.
Michael Waltrip pulled down. He tried to go on the inside, got a little too far over to the left there. Michael Waltrip was there, and he had to go into the grass. You can see that car jumping and bouncing through this dirt part. Now, right there, he loses control, spins back up on the racetrack. Very lucky nobody was coming at him.
Another look.
We'll take a look again. He's right in the middle of the pack. Here's the Michael Waltrip car, and the green car. See, he just shoots right out of there, as Buddy said. Michael made a move there, and Wallenbach, Wally Dallenbach. Sorry about that, Wally.
Right here, he gets sideways again, Ned, as he goes across the strip and right back up on the racetrack. Just imagine if somebody had been coming.
Well, there was. Darrell Waltrip was coming.
There's Ricky Rudd in the car number 10. Chad Little was coming up through there. Steve Grissom, Kevin LePage, Ted Musgrave.
There's Darrell and Jeff Bodine.
Yeah, but you could see the speed of the cars that didn't go by there. They realized there was a problem. They watched him spin all the way down the back straightaway there.
So we're under caution for the second time today, and Jimmy Spencer becomes the 14th different leader. Kick off your Saturday next week right here on CBS. It all begins with college football today. Then a doubleheader on NASDAQ college football. First, a Big East clash as the Miami Hurricanes take on the Boston College Eagles, followed by a key Southeast Conference battle as defending champion Florida takes on Auburn. That's next Saturday right here on CBS Sports. And tonight on CBS starts with 60 Minutes, followed by Touched by an Angel, and then the CBS Sunday movie Final Descent, starring Robert Urich and Annette O'Toole. That's tonight on CBS. Let's show you what Bill Elliott drove through. Talk about track position.
He sees the car about to come back across the racetrack, Mike. Say, which way do I go? I go low, very low.
Grab a gear and get back to the start-finish line.
Mike, it hadn't been but just a few seconds ago, Bill Elliott said, I don't want to get up in there. They're mixing it up too much. I'm going to stay back here. That's the trouble of being too careful on Talladega.
Wally Dallenbach in the garage. Bill Stevens.
Well, physically, Wally's okay, but you got to be disappointed to qualify 24th, but you got a pretty burly race car today.
Yeah, it was fun while it lasted. The guys did a good job. The car was awesome, and it was a blast. Just got into a deal in the backstretch. It, kind of got the left sides in the grass when I went to pull out on the 21 car. He moved down, and I moved further, and I was in the grass, and these things don't like the grass too much.
No, they're not lawnmowers. Dick Bergeron?
Well, Dale Earnhardt had his problems on that pit stop. He came in the front of the pack. He's sure not there now. He's running in 25th spot, and his crew is looking over the videotape replays of that pit stop. What happened? Earnhardt got blocked in by the 36, had to back the car up. That put him behind in the serial order. A little further up pit road, the 23, Jimmy Spencer, the car in the lead. He took only 2 tires. That's how he got there.
Thanks, Dick. There's a look at Earnhardt, who is back in 25th. There's a camera. You saw the view from John Andretti's pit, looking down on the top of the car. Those cameras are pole mounted. They hang out from the war wagon on pit road, and in each team there's a look at the one on Dale Jarrett's pit. Now there's a VCR on each war wagon, so that after each pit stop the team reviews the pit stop and replays it to see what they could have done better. And those are in use all up and down pit road. There's the VCR being recued.
And the war wagon, that's what we're talking about.
We're not the only ones that have instant replay. These teams have it too.
Okay, here's what we're talking about. They were talking about Dale Earnhardt getting caught behind Derek Cope in the car number 36. Had to back up, had to change gears back up. That cost valuable seconds. By that time, Cope was pulling out of the pits, but it was too late. See the other cars going by. Didn't cost him but a couple of seconds, but it cost him lots of positions.
Under the green flag here at Talladega, you can lose the length of a football field in a second. That's how fast they run, and under caution, you can lose a lot of track position when something happens. John Andretti came in first, went out 12th. Ernie Irvin came out 4th. Dale Jarrett 6th. Rusty Wallace back to 14th. And Mike Skinner backed up 2 spots.
Now that pit time that we're seeing there, that's not the time that they were actually stopped. That's the time they came on the pit road and went off the pit road.
Every time you hear one of us in the booth go, we're kind of thinking what Darrell Waltrip thought when we asked him about how unique Talladega Superspeedway is. We asked Darrell Waltrip, what's it like out there on the high banks of Talladega?
10 laps into this race, cars look like they've been running Martinsville. They got wheel marks all over the side of them. They've all been sideways. And you've already called in 5 times. Now, this is in 10 laps. In 5 times, you've already called in and said, oh, they're going to wreck. No. They didn't wreck that time. Maybe. Oh, wait a minute. No. Made again. That's what you do.
They've been doing it all day long here. They've been doing it for 102 laps. And they'll do it for 86 more. We're just past halfway at the world's fastest speedway. You look over at Talladega Airport, and you look inside Bill Elliott's car, Ralph Shaheen.
Well, I'm with his crew chief, Mike Beam. Mike, what's the status of Bill's car?
Well, was trying to go there when the car got real loose. He said that, like he couldn't make up no time. So we put 4 tires on it and was in the back area. So we come back in, we made an air pressure change and a track bar change so we can try to get up front.
Ken Squire?
Watching how we're getting set on this restart lineup, and once again Bobby Labonte is up in the thick of it. He'll be starting 3rd on this restart in that green car as they're getting ready to come down. He had a lot of power last week. Joe Gibbs seems to have solved that problem. A Pontiac has never won a restrictor plate race. To Mike Joy.
Could happen today, Ken. Green flag in the wind. And Jimmy Spencer, he's not stuck in the middle anymore. He's out front.
That's the place he really wants to be. There were those 4 cars down on the inside. Bobby Hamilton and Jeremy Mayfield, Darrell Waltrip, and Dave Marcus all a lap down. Those are the only 4 cars that are a lap down that are still out there. There's still 36 cars on the lead.
Buddy, when Jimmy Spencer drove for you, you taught him a move that allowed him to win at his first restrictor plate race at Daytona. He credited you in victory lane. We were watching from Milwaukee. What was it?
Let me tell you, I told him what to do, but you have to have that ability and that willingness to do the things that I told him. And Jimmy Spencer always had the heart of a lion. When it come time, he used everything he had there. A great race car, and he also used a lot of talent that he had through the years and modifieds and everything else. He had a lot of racing time. It wasn't just what I told him.
What'd you teach him, and what'd you teach Ron Bouchard about how to win here?
Like I said, the game's free. Lessons cost.
All right, Professor. Dale Jarrett and Ernie Irvan are side by side. They're at 4th place trying to make a run back to the lead. Oh, Spencer comes down the racetrack to block. Here comes the high groove after him. That's Sterling Marlin right behind Spencer in the yellow car. And Bobby Labonte, the green car up top.
Okay, you see him moving up there. He's going to see if the 18 car, Bobby Labonte, can push him along. I don't think he wants to race with Sterling Marlin. Now he's back down there. He's testing the water to see who's strong there so he can get buttoned up with somebody that wants to play ball with him.
Battery's just trying to hold them all off, Ned.
Well, no matter how hard he tries, it's not going to work because they're going to be side by side again here before very long at all.
Well, for a couple of laps here, we've had a Ford and a Chevrolet and a Pontiac running in the first 3. The Pontiac's about to drop back to 3rd right now. But that's the way NASCAR would like to see it. Have all 3 brands running up front all the time.
Here comes Dick Trickle back to the front. Junie Donlevy's number 90. Tom Baldwin Jr. His dad, a great modified racer on Long Island. Tommy, the crew chief there. Rumors he may be headed elsewhere next season. And Greg Sachs just behind. Number 40. Michael Waltrip in 21. The Lowe's car of Mike Skinner.
You can see him getting antsy behind Spencer there. You see Sterling Marlin in the yellow car there. He looked high, now he's looking low.
And he thought Dale Jarrett was going to go with him, and Jarrett decided he wanted to go on the high side.
Dick Trickle there at number 90 in 6th place, going for 5th. He's going to get it. Here's Ralph.
Mike, he looks great up front right now. The question is, how long will it last? Crew told me he lost a gear coming out of pit road on that last pit stop. They're afraid that transmission might not hold together much longer.
Well, it'll be great while it lasts. Junie Donlevy's always had a good car for Daytona and Talladega. Owns that number 90 of Trickle.
Lead change, Mike. You can see there Sterling Marlin moves in, and look at Dick Trickle in 2nd place now. I guarantee you the Donlevy crew right now, you can't believe how excited those guys get when that race car runs that well.
Pretty much volunteer pit crew for Junie Donlevy there. A little jostling in back, Ned.
Yeah, John Andretti and Michael Waltrip actually touched through the trial there, but they recognized that they were that close together and decided to better position themselves a little bit differently.
80 laps to go at the fastest speedway on earth in the Sears Diehard 500. Sterling Marlin the leader. Ageless Dick Trickle, 55 years old, running in 2nd. Mr. Excitement Jimmy Spencer 3rd. Long Island's Greg Sachs in 4th. Dale Jarrett in 5th. Joe Nemechek up to 6th. 7th is Mike Skinner, Bobby Labonte, Ernie Irvan, John Andretti. That's the top 10. And it'll probably all change by the time they get back.
Probably will. Mike, we see this big pack of cars here for the first time today. This pack of cars have pulled away. See, there are 4 cars back there that are running by themselves, and then there's some behind them that are running by themselves, and that's unusual, especially this shortly after the green flag came out from the caution.
And the 4 cars in that 2nd pack include Derek Cope, whose car is damaged, and Dale Earnhardt and Ricky Rudd. Now Earnhardt, remember, got blocked in the pits by Derek Cope, came out with him, and they have lost the lead draft.
Ned, how many times do we talk about track position? One bad stop, that's why we say no one driver wins a race. It's a team effort from the time the green flag drops through all the pit stops, and at the end of the race, who can adjust the cars to make them best.
And you're going to run as fast as the group that you're running with. Now, I'm not saying that Derek Cope's he has been in the wall with that car. Is it capable of running as fast as Dale Earnhardt has been running? And is that whole group of cars there capable of running as fast as he has been running?
Now Ricky Rudd had to take a provisional to get his number 10 car into the field, and Dave Marcus is a lap down. Here's the lead pack once again. Sterling Marlin in front. And for more on Marlin, here's Ralph.
Well, Larry, Robert Larkins would be his crew chief. Now, Robert, you got your guy up front. Can you keep him up there?
I hope so. You've got to have a good dancing partner.
Well, who are you going to hook up with as this one winds down?
I don't know. It looks like Spencer's the only one that's alone, and we're alone. Everybody else has a teammate up there.
And Mike, remember, this is a crew that has put together at least one super speedway victory every year for the last couple of years, and this will be the last super speedway race for Sterling Marlin with this team. That streak has been active since 1991.
Now, when Marlin was winning all those plate races, nobody wanted to draft with him because nobody felt they could pass him. That situation has changed, but Larkins may be right. All those super team cars working in concert together. Marlin is going to have to go shopping up and down pit road for a drafting partner, and he may have found one.
You heard Ned just a second ago kind of get his breath again. Jimmy Spencer come right across traffic there and almost collected the car pulling up on behind him there. I tell you, that won't last all day. You keep doing that, you'll get a caller before long.
Yeah, you really will. Jimmy Spencer has the scariest Halloween costume of any Winston Cup driver, and it's yellow and purple. Riding with Dale Jarrett, that's Terry Labonte in yellow and red alongside.
Terry beginning to flex his muscles a little bit. We saw him make a move a moment ago down on the inside, went 3 deep and got himself up there in the top 5 or 6.
Ooh, Sachs suddenly alongside Spencer, who has to back out of it briefly as Sachs came up the racetrack. Now Sachs is part of a 3-car super team. One of his teammates is right there with him, Joe Nemechek. There's that pack of 4. They're about to get a little toe off Chad Little. They have caught the pack, and there's Nemechek with Dale Jarrett in 88. And Jimmy Spencer, caught up in that high groove, is going to drift back a few spots. Now Nemechek may be overheating. That's one report we got off the scanner.
Well, that'll help him a little bit. He gets out there where there are not as many cars in front of him as there were earlier. That'll get a little more fresh air into the grill of the radiator.
And this looks like a parking lot. The only thing is they're doing 190 miles an hour, and that's closer than most people park.
That's closer than I like to see them run, especially when you got a relative out there.
113 laps complete, 75 to go at Talladega. We'll be right back with you live on CBS.
CBS Sports Race Summary is sponsored by Texaco, a world of energy.
"74 laps remaining, 14 different leaders, 26 lead changes, speed reduced by 2 cautions to 158.7 miles an hour. Only 2 cars from the 42 starters have retired from the field. First out was Billy Standridge, and just recently we saw the Dallenbach car take a wild ride down the backstretch to be eliminated from competition. 23 cars remain in the lead draft to decide this 29th annual Talladega 500, and now number 2, Rusty Wallace may be dropping back. What's the story, guys?
Wallace at 26th position here. Let's get the word from Dick Berggren.
He's got an ignition problem of some sort. They're not entirely sure what that problem is. This is kind of like trying to diagnose what's wrong with your car while you're on the highway, and you call the garage and you say the engine is cutting out, which is what Rusty's engine is doing. First they thought it was maybe the tachometer. He reached over, shut that off. That didn't solve the problem. Then he looked at the voltmeter and it reads 0. Good chance it's the alternator. That is a lengthy change. He probably is going to make it all the way through this race unless they either change the alternator or the battery or both.
He's got to get 71 more laps out of it, Dick. Now, Dale Earnhardt on lap 105 was 25th, right behind Derek Cope, 6 seconds behind the leader. He has climbed to 11th, just 0.8 of a second off the lead. And you see 4 cars behind him in line. He's brought Derek Cope up with him. From John Andretti, looking ahead to Earnhardt. And it's all one pack again, but for 7 cars in their own draft, well back, led by Wallace. On point is Marlin. And that's Jimmy Spencer up alongside of Greg Sachs, Joe Nemechek, Bobby Labonte, Dale Jarrett, Terry Labonte, and Mike Skinner. That is everybody in the race right there in 2 packs.
Boy, I tell you what, these guys hadn't had one moment to get their breath since they dropped the green flag. It's been side-by-side racing, and it just don't get any better than that. Look at these guys going for second right here. They're door handle to door handle all the way back through the top 30 spots.
24 cars fight for second place.
No time to relax.
Well, how do you get any rest out there? I mean, not rest, but this is a 500-mile commute in a little less than 3 hours.
If there's any such thing as rest on Talladega, Sterling Marlin in the lead right now. He don't have to worry about anybody beside him. There is no rest when you're doing what the Bud car here is doing through the corner.
Ricky Craven on the outside of Kenny Schrader. Mark Martin hard at work on the straightaway, looking in that mirror. 2 glances to the mirror. And now that right hand comes over. John Andretti, you see, holds the wheel at 9 and 3. That's how they teach it in road racing. Keep that hand opposite sides of the wheel.
Mike, you can see him turning his head even at 30 degrees of banking, 33 degrees of banking in the corner. You can see him tilt his head because there's a lot of centrifugal force on that head going through the corner. Even though he has a brace there, he's not using it.
And Bill Elliott, he's at about 10 and 2 on the steering wheel. How did you run?
That was pretty much the way I like to run. See where his hand there is on the very top of the wheel. You have control either left or right from that position. That's very important in the corners.
And Dale Jarrett, he's about a 1 and 11 o'clock driver, would you say, Ned?
Yeah, he's a little higher on the steering wheel than the others.
But you see where his hand is. It's where it can go either way if the car reacts any way that he does not like it.
Just a little over center. Ned, how'd you hold the wheel?
Somewhere about where Dale does, or maybe 10 to 2, somewhere in that area.
And Jimmy Spencer leads him around, slips up there in front of Bobby Labonte. Didn't leave a lot of room, it didn't look like. And here comes Marlin on the bottom in the yellow car.
Races here at Talladega are the most mentally taxing of any races they run anywhere because of what we're seeing right here.
Ned, I've won races here and get out of the car and absolutely feel like I'd run 2 500-lap races on a half-mile track. Everybody says you're out there on just a ride. Every minute you're out there, mentally you're taxing yourself, physically you're taxing yourself, and you also have to keep yourself under control and be disciplined at the same time.
Well, you got to look ahead, you got to look behind you, you got to look beside on you, and you can't let off the accelerator.
I can't imagine anything in sports that's more stressful for a more sustained length of time.
No, I can't either. There might be moments, seconds in other sports that it would be as stressful, but not for this period of time.
Left side of your screen, Jimmy Spencer, national modified champion of NASCAR. Followed the Bouchard and the Bodines and Greg Sachs to Winston Cup. He's found quite a home here, and he leads this show. His last win came here in 1994, 99 races ago.
He was driving for the legend Junior Johnson at that time.
Won Daytona in July and here at Talladega. Bobby Labonte, Terry Labonte right behind him. And the yellow car, Sterling Marlin, the number 4 down to the inside with Joe Nemechek in tow. Ken Squires had quite an eye on Jimmy Spencer over his career.
Well, certainly the last week has been one of the most impressive for Spencer. It was just a week ago at Charlotte, North Carolina, that he drove what many considered the race of his life against Mark Martin in a 300-mile Grand National race. They ran the last 20 laps side by side. He continued to pinch Martin down and take that victory, dramatic style, and he's giving us the same kind of demonstration right now. But here's Terry Labonte slipping through on the inside to take the advantage.
I think at the start of this show I said Terry Labonte was going to run well today. This is proof. Did you see that move? To the outside, then to the inside. Goes by Spencer and takes the lead in one straightaway. What a move.
He went from the penthouse to the basement, took the elevator, and took it right to the lead. It's the first time Labonte has led since lap 26 of this race.
And we were all concerned about Mr. Earnhardt. He's back in the fight again. He's moved right back up. He's a black car there, just over Joe Nemechek, the 42. He's running very well. You can see down the back straightaway, he has a great car today.
He's got 8 great cars, though, right in front of him.
He does that.
Terry Labonte, fastest in practice. Lined up 6th for this race. And that was the 28th lead change of this race. That's the most in any Winston Cup race this season. And we've had several that have had 20 or more. Most competitive race of the year, taking the title from Pocono. Bobby Labonte in third. That's the highest placed Pontiac in the field, behind the Chevy of Terry Labonte and the Ford of Spencer. Then it's Greg Sachs and Ricky Craven. I believe it's the first time Craven's been in the top 5 today in that red Budweiser 25.
Boy, he had a great run in Daytona. He just did everything perfect, and everybody said this is the year for Ricky Craven. And right after that, everything started going wrong. Had a terrible crash in Texas, had to go to the hospital, spend some time out of the race car. But believe me, he can drive a super speedway.
And look at this fight, 3 wide with Mark Martin upstairs of Joe Nemechek and Jeff Gordon. Look at this. You can be in 10th place here and only be 3 car lengths back of the leader.
Now they're going 4 wide. There, Michael Waltrip. Does he see that car down there? Well, it didn't matter because he was able to get in front of it.
That's one way to look at it. I'm sure that right at the moment there, Ernie Irvin was going, hey, I'm not sure this is going to work.
There's Mike Skinner in car number 31 on the inside of Mark Martin. Let's go to the pits and Ralph Shaheen.
Well, Ned, there's more good news for Terry Labonte and the crew of the number 5 car. Andy Graves, the man you see here in the red and white fire suit, is the crew chief currently for Ricky Craven. Well, today we can tell you that Andy has told me he will be announced shortly as the new crew chief for the number 5 car for the 1998 season. That has completely rejuvenated this crew. They are excited. They are preparing for 1998, and they feel that another championship is on their way in 98 once Andy returns home to the 5 crew.
Andy was the chassis specialist for that team, with Gary Diehard as the team leader at the beginning of this season.
Well, Gary Diehard had personal problems. He did a great job for Terry Labonte. They won a championship, but things just got where he couldn't deal with them, and felt that he would be better off just to pull back for a while, take a good look at the sport, and then re-enter.
Andy's dad, Fred Graves, great super modified racer, and currently Ron Hornaday's truck team crew chief. Bobby Labonte sits up in 3rd place. Let's go to his pit. Bill Stevens.
And with his crew chief, Jimmy Makar. Bobby's had just about every position out there today. He's up near the front. What's he telling you?
Well, he's not doing a lot of talking right now. He's got his hands full. These guys are putting on a heck of a show. A lot of passing, a lot of moving around. You know, the car's working pretty good. We've been thinking with the handling a little bit, but all in all, it's been a pretty good day so far. We're just trying to kind of stay near the front and keep the car in position for later on in the race. Kind of feel out who's strong, who's not strong, who may be your partner for later on. That's the plan. Let's see if it sticks.
128 laps complete. Dale Earnhardt has come to 4th behind Bobby Labonte. And CBS Sports coverage of the Sears Diehard 500 will continue after this message and a word from your local station.
Coverage of the Sears Diehard 500 is sponsored by Diehard, saluting race fans everywhere. Diehard, tried and true. Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? And by Brewery Fresh Budweiser, the king of beers.
In 28 years, this race has had 23 different winners. It's been a race of dark horses. The first 14 years, they had 14 faces in victory lane before Darrell Waltrip became the first repeat winner. And right now, the first 6 drivers in this race have not won this season. Terry and Bobby Labonte, Ricky Craven, Dick Trickle, Dale Earnhardt, add Ken Schrader to that list. Now the Labonte brothers run 1-2, Terry in the 5 and Bobby in the 18. There has been a brother act 1-2 finish here. Donnie Allison beat Bobby Allison to the checker in the 1971 May race here. So it wouldn't be a first. I want to offer our thanks to all the folks here at Talladega Super Speedway. 10 years at CBS has been a part of this great event. Former Speedway head Don Naiman and Grant Lidge, who's now the president of Talladega Super Speedway. We sure appreciate all their help.
You know, Mike, Andy Graves must feel very, very proud at the moment. He has a car in 1st and 3rd right now. He has influence on both cars here, and they're running 1st and 3rd. As you run with Craven down through here, this is the 3rd place car, and just in front of him, Bobby Labonte through the dog leg. And here is where the start finishing line is. Very close down right there. as you start into one. And as Ned said earlier, this race has been won in between the middle of the dog leg and going to the start finishing line many times. We'll take a ride around the racetrack as we head out towards the back straightaway. This is down the 4,000-foot back straightaway. And what you try to do here is stay directly behind the car in front of you. And when you start in the corner, if your car is loose, you'll go down on the, he'll move up just a little bit as you see him right there. He may have a loose tendency right there. That tightens the car up because the air coming off the front car kind of holds you out. You start down off turn 4 here. And this is actually a short chute as you start getting set up for the dog leg on the front straightaway. As you can see, cars dance around a little bit, and there is the start finishing line right there.
Right where Ricky Craven ducked to the inside. Craven started the season with a 3rd at Daytona and a 5th at Rockingham, but did not get another top 5 finish until New Hampshire in August. They're on the way back up, though. After a 41st at Dover, they were 8th at Martinsville, and then had a disappointing day at Charlotte last week, 25th. Well, everybody's looking a little racy again. There's the Mark Martin in that white Valvoline Ford ducking out of line.
Yeah, they settled down there for a lap or two. And
while we're talking about Mark Martin, excuse me, Ned, you look who's right on his tail there, the 24 of Jeff Gordon. He's almost a mirror image. They're fighting it out for a national title. I'm sorry that I interrupted.
There you're riding with Mark Martin, and as I asked him at the top of the day, Jeff Gordon has been shadowing you these last few races, and Gordon's been unable to pick up more than 5 or 10 points on Gordon in any one race.
All of those up in the top 5 in the point standings have been finishing in the top 5 in most of the races. It's hard to make much of a points change.
Now, Martin started the season with 6 finishes out of the top 5, and then had 8 straight races with top 5 finishes, including 2 wins. Dale Jarrett, who's 3rd in the points, he had 6 in a row in the top 5. And Jeff Gordon, with his 10 wins, he had a string of 5 straight top 5 races and a string of 4 straight. Consistency is the key to winning the championship, not how many races you win. Just ask Rusty Wallace. He won the most races 2 years in a row and didn't get to sit at the head table at the banquet. You have to be good every week.
Jeff Gordon last year, 10 wins. He didn't win the championship.
Terry Labonte in the lead. Let's go to his pit and route.
Well, Randy Dorton is working as the interim crew chief for Terry Labonte. He usually heads up the engine program for Hendrick Motorsports. Randy, as you take a look at the situation, how's your strategy going to play out here at the finish?
Well, there's a lot of options right now that we're trying to play through, and I think we've got a good plan right now.
Are you going to make one more pit stop for right side tires?
Well, we all have to make another stop for that can of gas, and it's up in the air exactly what we'll do tire-wise right now.
Obviously, the Hendrick Motorsports engines, however, guys, are certainly working perfectly.
4 of the top 5 Hendrick powered cars were among the 6 fastest practice speeds. Terry Labonte leading younger brother Bobby. Our condolences to Terry's wife Kim, whose grandmother passed away this weekend, and to Richard Jackson, the owner of the #1 car driven by Morgan Shepherd. Richard Leo Jackson's mom passed away on Thursday of this week. 137 laps complete as the Labonte brothers lead at Talladega. Caution is out at Talladega for a grinding crash in the back straightaway leading to turn 3. It happened behind the race leaders, but there is the point standing leader Jeff Gordon, Michael Waltrip, Joe Nemechek, Sterling Marlin was in it. There are few single car incidents at Talladega, and this one took out a number of top contenders. Marlin is out, Greg Sachs, Ricky Rudd, Earnhardt's car with right rear damage. And Mark Martin, the 2nd place point man, is a mess. Michael Waltrip scrapes against the wall. Here's Ted Musgrave with the right front down. Robert Presley, 2nd place point man Martin. Earnhardt still rolling and perhaps able to run. And Martin, if he can keep that car going, able to pick up a bunch of points on Jeff Gordon. It looks like whose day is done. Derek Cope in, and where's the 3rd place point man Dale Jarrett? Let's go to Dick Berggren.
He was in it as well.
Lots of damage to the back end of Dale Earnhardt's car. The fuel fill area is okay. Spoiler and trunk are not. They are critical aerodynamically here. Stevie Burgess has hold of that aerodynamic spoiler, trying to pull it back. Well, this is shades of Daytona, guys. This thing is all beat up, and this is the same car Earnhardt was upside down with at Daytona. A lot of damage. Most of it is aerodynamically critical. Mike?
Well, if they can get Earnhardt around a couple more laps, it'll mean a bunch of positions, because there are a number of cars that are just not going anywhere.
You can see them pulling the right rear corner out there with the pry bar, trying to get the fender itself off the end tire there. That's Darrell Waltrip's car, the 17 there.
And
a lot of damage. Lake Speed's car being pushed in. This was a major wreck.
And Gordon's car will be hooked up to the wrecker and towed in. Let's see if we can figure out how this got started. Behind the leaders coming off turn 2.
Everything looks good here so far, but everything's coming along fine, coming off of turn 2, heading down the backstretch. Tight running as they've been all day.
Jeff Gordon there in the 24 comes over, touches the 98 car.
Gets into Marlin.
He hit John Andretti first, and it looked like it triggered just a chain reaction. You see Earnhardt in trouble there. He makes contact on Gordon.
Here's Trickle.
There's Trickle going backwards. You see the roof flaps employ.
There's Jarrett way down in the grass in 88, and up in the air, Jeremy Mayfield.
Car number 37. And there's Jimmy Spencer. And there's Marlin.
There was a car hooked onto Marlin's hood. There's Jarrett sliding back up on the track as Steve Grissom whizzes by up near the wall. Bill Elliott trying to get to a stop, and Ted Musgrave with right front damage. And Bobby Hamilton rolling slow. Here's another look. Look right on the left edge of your screen.
Right out here.
Did he get bumped?
He did get bumped just a little bit by Ricky Craven.
His teammate. It's possible that there was contact front to rear. Let's see from Craven's
car. Let's ride and we will see down the back straightaway. You're riding with Craven.
Oh, there's the bump.
Contact between John Andretti and Jeff Gordon.
There was no contact between Craven and Gordon. Wow. From Mark Martin's car. Bumps against Ernie Irvin there as Irvin woes up. Martin trying to drive his way through it.
Oh, there's Sterling Marlin. Hard impact there. Ernie Irvin had nowhere to go.
And Martin gets hit again by Lake Speed. Wow. Here's another look. Watch John Andretti's car right there, coming over and touching Jeff Gordon. That initiated it.
Gordon went into the 4-car of Sterling Marlin. Gordon hits Earnhardt. Spencer, 31 car, Mike Skinner gets involved. And Jeremy Mayfield, his car goes up and over. There's Jarrett down on the inside. He slides back up on the track. Wow.
Let's ride and listen with Ricky Craven. And with Mark Martin.
Wow, he just kept getting hit. Says, when is it going to stop?
Buddy, it looked from that replay, buddy, from Craven's car as if it was Gordon who swerved left toward Andretti.
That's what I thought when I first looked at it. It looked to me the 24. That's why we thought he might have got bumped from behind. He moved over so quickly there on the back straightaway. I thought maybe somebody touched him from behind, but we clearly see nobody did.
Now in the Winston Cup points chase, Gordon's car is on the wrecker. Steve Meal, Jimmy Fennig, and the Roush team trying to get Mark Martin back into this race, because if he can run even a few laps, he'll pick up several positions on the cars that have stopped?
I can tell you that's going to take a while, because that was a violent crash over there. When he got into Sterling Marlin, I mean, we didn't have to say a word, just the sound alone.
And there's Mark Martin out of the car, talking to his crew.
And here is Greg Sachs and Sterling Marlin discussing the situation. You see Sterling pointing out what happened to him as Sachs wound up on top of Sterling's car there.
And you can see Sterling motion. The Gordon just sliced right over on him. Hand gesture kind of said it all.
Boy, look at the damage on that 4 car. It is wiped out.
Bill Stevens is with Mark Martin. Bill.
Mark, you definitely didn't need this. What happened?
They wrecked up ahead of me. It was bound to happen. I hate restrictor plate racing, man. You know, the only way it seemed like we could run was 3 wide and sometimes 4 wide. And actually, the drivers had done a great job under the circumstances, but they put us in a bad situation when we have to run 3 wide lap after lap after lap. And you have to. I mean, you can't run 2 wide. The cars are too equal and they're blocked up and there's nowhere to go. So, you know, I was just out there waiting for later on in the race to step on the gas. We had a good car, but not good enough, I guess.
They struggled all weekend, and Talladega claims another victim.
If you're going to tell me race drivers aren't athletes, you look at Mark Martin standing and talking there, talking to Bill calmly after what happened here. Now, what happens between these 2 cars?
You see Gordon there, he just all of a sudden he comes over there and he makes contact with the 98 there of Andretti.
I think the back end of Gordon's car got loose, buddy, as he came off of turn 2 and started down the backstretch, and he just sort of had to follow it, and it came down into Andretti.
Now, Mark Martin just took this hit. And he climbs out of that car and says, well, Bill, it happened like this.
Yeah, isn't that something?
What great shape these fellows are in, physically and mentally. They'll get this car back in the race if there's any way possible. Ralph Shaheen is with the point standing leader.
That would be Jeff Gordon. Jeff, can you tell me what happened out there?
You know, I felt the left rear go just right before it turned sideways. I turned sideways, tried to save it, and I got into the 98. But the left rear tire blew. It's pretty obvious. You can look at the left rear, see it shredded. So why that happened, I don't know. I don't know if I had some contact or what, but it's pretty unfortunate. A lot of cars torn up, and this is exactly what we didn't need today.
But you're okay? It looked kind of like maybe your back end was loose before that, or did it just go all of a sudden?
Well, that's what happens when the left rear goes. That thing goes sideways. You got to have all 4 tires on these things. And I felt something get squirrely, and I didn't think it was like somebody hit me, and I tried to gather it up, and I knew right then something was wrong with the left rear. You probably won't be able to see because there's so many cars around me on the tape, but it's pretty obvious when you look at the left rear, it's shredded pretty good, and I'm pretty sure that's what it was.
All right, Jeff Gordon out of it.
Well, and that's what appeared to happen. Gordon's car suddenly slewing left, and that's the reason why.
Okay, let's explain that to people. I've had that happen before. You see, DJ has a lot of damage to his car, but what happened to Gordon over there, he was going down the straightaway, and that tire went flat on him. He said it blew out going down the back straightaway. It goes over to the left, and that falls right on the wheel, and you don't have any traction whatsoever to the left side.
Dick Berggren.
Of the top 3 point leaders coming into today's race, only one of those men is still behind the wheel of his race car. Dale Jarrett's car is well beat up. He came into this thing 3rd in points, but the 2 guys ahead of him, Gordon and Martin, their cars are so beat up they can't run them at all. They're working on the aerodynamics of Dale Jarrett's number 88 car, putting tape on the sheet metal, trying to square it away. They're also trying to line the front tires. That's what they're doing right now with that string. They're trying to set the toe in on this car. It's pretty well beat up, but it sure is not nearly as beat up as Jeff Gordon's car or Mark Martin's car. Terrell Shaheen.
Michael Waltrip trying to cool off here in the garage area. Michael, what was your view of that?
The view I had was the 24 turning around sideways and backwards. I thought they were all going to go that way, and they did for a minute, and I just went, please, 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 let me get through this hole. And they all came back before we got through the hole. So just unfortunate that the Citgo Ford wound up in this kind of shape after the run we were having.
Jeff seemed to think he might have cut a tire or blew a tire. Could you tell anything from where you were that might have been the cause?
No, but, you know, anything can happen. If that did happen, we were fortunate. I hope nobody turned him around. because everybody was cutting each other off and driving kind of wild, but we were giving each other the room we needed to operate. I hope it was something mechanical that caused that and not a bonehead.
It was, Michael. It was something, his tire went flat, got the car loose, and caused a spin out.
Well, with 19 cars involved in that accident, the race for the championship shifts to the garage. If one team can get their driver back in the race just for a lap, they might pick up 40 points or so. Let's ride with John Andretti.
That was when he got hit by Gordon. You saw him look up in the rearview mirror, and he knew that it was going to be a big one back there.
Andretti got through it unscathed, and he runs in the 6th position behind Terry Labonte, Morgan Shepherd, and Kenny Schrader. Bobby Labonte, Ricky Craven, John Andretti, and Kyle Petty. Your Saturday next week right here on CBS. It all begins with college football today, and then a doubleheader on NASDAQ college football. First, a Big East clash as the Miami Hurricanes take on the Boston College Eagles, followed by a key SEC battle as defending champion Florida takes on Auburn. That's next Saturday right here on CBS Sports. And after the race, jump on CBS Sportsline for a complete summary, including the latest news, standings, and schedules from NASCAR. Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, chat with NASCAR writer Richard Huff to get an insider's point of view, and stay on the fast track at cbs.sportsline.com. Just a lap or two away from a restart here. Let's go to Dick Bergman.
And I'm behind the wall with Dale Earnhardt's race car, and it is really, really torn up. The biggest problems are back here at the rear end of the car. The locating arms that locate the rear end, the differential, are badly bent. They've got a hydraulic press trying to straighten the rear end out, trying to pull it back. Larry McReynolds is trying to get the sheet metal squared away. Earnhardt sits behind the wheel. He doesn't want to talk to anybody right now. Very distraught. As you can see, just about every crew member is underneath the car. In fact, Earnhardt has come out from behind the wheel, and he has gotten underneath the car to see how bad the damage is. And I'll give you an idea just how bad the damage is as soon as we get off this shot of Dale. I'm going to show you the arm that used to locate the rear end. There it is. That thing is supposed to be straight. That's how hard he hit. You can see how badly bent that is. Now, Earnhardt had finished every single race in 1997 until this one. Boy, the last DNF he had, if my records are right, Mike, was right here at Talladega last year in this event, upside down.
And it was a whopper. We're going racing next time. The cars involved in the incident: Earnhardt, Marlin, Martin, Lake Speed, Ricky Rudd, Musgrave, both Waltrips, Darrell and Michael, Jimmy Spencer, Jeff Gordon, the 31 of Mike Skinner, Greg Sachs, Jeremy Mayfield were in it. So was Steve Grissom and Joe Nemechek, Dale Jarrett, Robert Presley, Chad Little, John Andretti, and Jeff Burton. Almost half the field as we go back to green. Terry Labonte is the race leader, and in the top 5 for the first time today, birthday boy Morgan Shepherd in the number 1.
22 cars being shown on the lead lap.
Kenny Schrader up to 3rd. Been a long time since Schrader's been to victory lane in that green and white number 33. 1991 Dover, last time Schrader saw the checkered flags wave here in Winston Cup racing. Bobby Labonte sits in 4th in the number 18. Ricky Craven in 5th. John Andretti in 6th, and Kyle Petty up to 7th. Ernie Irvin is 8th. David Green is 9th, and unsponsored Brett Bodine is 10th. Schrader had a look to the low side there and then shot right back to the top with Labonte.
Well, that's what he did. He looked in his mirror and Bobby Labonte was there, and he said there's some help up high. You can see Schrader has a very good car, the 33, running 2nd right now, doing a great job on the high side of the racetrack to get by Morgan Shepherd. Here comes Bobby Labonte bringing a group of cars to the inside.
One thing about it, that wreck didn't scare him, did it? They're still going at it.
22 cars on the lead lap. Bill Stevens.
Well, Joe Nemechek was in the top 10 when trouble found you, huh?
Always. just unfortunate day for the Bell South Chevy. You know, we were running good, got up there in the front, run third for a while. We have an awesome race car. Tony Blumber and all these guys did an excellent job. But I don't know what happened there. All I know there was cars flying everywhere, and I drove at the wall, and I had to hit the last one. As soon as I hit them, there was no more smoke, and just unfortunate for us.
Around the front of the car, you can see the damage. That front clip over here is just about cleaned off, and everybody but Dr. Quinn, the medicine woman, is working on it.
Well, they'll get it back in if they can, because there are 11 cars, 12 cars taken out in that incident. So some of the drivers, should they get back into the race, can pick up a quick 36 points perhaps.
Mike, you just heard Joe Nemechek tell you something very valuable. Half of the people that got involved in that wreck could not see where to go. So much smoke, so much dust.
That is what's left of the Morgan McClure number 4 of Sterling Marlin. They've already pulled what's left of the front end sheet metal off it. They're just trying to get that car so they can load it on the truck.
Wow.
4-car breakaway here. Morgan Shepherd leads that second pack in the Richard Jackson number 1. They had a 21-car crash here in 1973 and a 17-car pileup in 1979. Fellow to my right has first-hand knowledge of both.
Whew. The one you're talking about where 28 cars were wiped out, I knocked the motor out of my car, and as I was sliding to a stop, a guy was hollering on the radio, caution. I said, I think I know that.
The motor finished about 300 yards ahead of you.
No, it finished behind me. I slid a little further than it did.
Single file draft. Terry Labonte engineers this train. 22 cars on the lead lap still. Now Jarrett and Trickle have returned to the race, as has Jeff Burton, Ted Musgrave, after being involved in that, and John Andretti. So that's half a dozen cars from the 19 that are still running. Ken Schrader running in second. Here's Dick Berggren.
Ken Schrader has seen the highs and lows of this event. In 1988, he won his very first Winston Cup race in this event. And if you were with us in CBS in 1995, you saw him go end over end down the backstretch in this event. Right now, it looks like another high. Andy Petrie, car owner crew chief, how do you play it from here?
Yeah, I'll tell you, it looks good right now, but this track, you know, anything can happen like it did a while ago. So we can hang in there and stay in line, get away from some of these guys. Maybe we can have a shot at a good finish.
Have you made your last pit stop?
Yeah, we've pitted for the last time. It's up to Kenny now, and whoever can find to work with him out there.
It's in the driver's hands.
In 1988, Schrader came from third to first on the last lap to win it. Mark Martin's back in the race. There's the Valvoline Ford.
He's not in shape to race. The car isn't, to be competitive, but as you mentioned earlier, if he can make a lap, that's going to pick up a lot of points for him, 30-some points, and he's going to do that, but he'll make probably more than one.
Kind of changed the aim on our in-car camera as well.
Ed, just as you said, he's on the flat part of the racetrack. All he wants to do now is complete one lap. That'll put him ahead of everyone that wrecked there.
It's about 4,000 RPM. I'm not sure what gear he's in.
It'll put him ahead of everybody who's in the garage area and out of the race.
It'll move him at least up to 28th place, Ned.
But we see some other cars coming out of the garage area right now. Michael Waltrip is one of them that's coming out, so we might have to stay out and run more laps than that.
Don't think NASCAR will let him continue around at that slow speed on the apron. And in any event, he's coming back in for repairs once again. Report that Ernie Irvin, well, he's now at 10th place. He's drifted back a little bit in that lead pack. And that's where Gordon will sit today. 32nd in the race, 4,330 points. And Mark Martin will pick up 9 points where he sits right now. Caution is waving on the field once again.
I could see a car throwing up a lot of smoke going into turn 3 over there. I don't know who it was, but
well, it allows Martin time to come around because he can run caution lap speed and pick up a few more laps. So caution is out, and it's Brett Bodine. What did he shred, a left rear, buddy, and get up in the wall?
Well, the right front is missing because you see the hood all up in the air there. He's got a lot of problems. It looked like more than one tire flat.
Well, let's see.
Okay, here, let's see if we can see what happened. Here he comes. It looks like maybe a tire went down because he just looked like he started to drive left a little bit, buddy, and the back end came around on him.
Ned, you're exactly right. As he turned into the corner there, you could see parts of rubber flying in the air there. He had a flat going in the corner, but it was the left side. I stand corrected. It was not a right side tire.
So Brett Bodine trying to get back into this race as Mark Martin crawls around. We'll be right back.
Sports Race Summary is sponsored by Texaco, a world of energy.
And the race summary after 155 laps, 33 remaining, 15 different leaders, 30 lead changes, speed way down to 154.7 miles an hour, and the cautions for a lengthy one just a few moments ago after that incredible wreck over in turn number 3 that tore up 11 top competitors in this field and sent them back to the garage area. Some still being administered to, trying to limp back out here and score some points in the final 4 races of 1997. There you see Mark Martin's car. Today's race to be followed by Rockingham, then Phoenix, and on to Atlanta in November. And take a look at that big wreck. Hear what the crowd would have heard and seen over on the backside. From over 190 miles per hour to ground zero. Skittering, slithering across the track, and with Dale Jarrett, here's his view. A solid hit on Dale Jarrett brought him to conclusion, but he's been able to pick it up again and come out here and try to score points, standing third in the standings, as some of the top runners, including Jeff Gordon, have been waylaid in this melee that has come here toward the end of this 28th annual Talladega Diehard 500. Let's get back to Mike.
Thanks, Ken. 20 cars in all. Add Dick Trickle to the list of cars that were involved in that crash. And 10 of them have now returned to the racetrack. Mark Martin, Ted Musgrave, Michael Waltrip, Jimmy Spencer, Jeremy Mayfield, Steve Grissom, Robert Presley, Dale Jarrett, Dick Trickle, and Jeff Burton are back on the racetrack after that incident.
And those last 4 that you mentioned, Jarrett, Spencer, Trickle, and Burton, all still remain on the lead lap.
Now Brett Bodine, who just brought out this caution, has made repairs to his number 11. He's back on track as well. Dick Berggren.
Yeah, this brake rotor, Mike, one of the NASCAR officials just picked it up off pit road. As you know, without a brake rotor, there are no brakes in the car. At least there are no two-wheel brakes in the car. Many of these cars have independent braking systems. The question is, whose car did this come off? And there is some possibility that it came off Mark Martin's car, the 6, but there have been so many cars up and down pit road, they're not positive as to who this belonged to.
Well, there's Mark Martin driving along. Separate braking systems, front and rear. Separate master cylinders, so that a driver would still have some stopping power if he's without 1 or 2 brakes.
And Mark Martin is currently being shown in 30th position, 14 laps down. But he has picked up a lot of positions since he went back out there. He's being shown right now a couple of positions ahead of Jeff Gordon. But
go, 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 go.
And we're green flag racing, Mike.
Terry Labonte, Paul's Kenny Schrader, and younger brother Bobby Labonte down to turn 1. Look at Jimmy Spencer back up there. Bobby Hamilton up with the leaders. Hamilton is a lap off the pace in the 43. Ricky Craven, the 4th place car, down on the bottom of the racetrack. That yellow number 30, Johnny Benson. Benson 1 lap down. As we said earlier, it'll take a lap or so for them to get up to full speed, and that long freight train draft will form up again.
Well, right now, if the first 2 cars could really hook up in this draft, I'm sure that Bobby Labonte and the Pontiac, the green car, running third right there, he's going to help his brother as much as he possibly can. Or the first three guys there, if they can hook up while they're running side by side back there, they can break away from this group. But you see Ricky Craven in the red car there in fourth. He moved right in behind Bobby Labonte. He's going with him.
Bill Elliott way up to the high side at 94. Joe Nemechek comes back on the racetrack, the 12th car to return from that grinding crash down the back straightaway.
With the lesser number of cars up there running, we've had 30-car drafts all day long. It might be a little bit easier, buddy, for some cars to break away maybe than we've seen any time today.
Well, what we're looking at right now, John Andretti has a very fast car, but you see right now he's kind of held up in this traffic back here, while the first four cars are in single file, and they're running much quicker than these cars running side by side. I'm sure John Andretti would love to get out of that group and try to catch these guys as they move away.
Three Chevrolets and one Pontiac looking to settle this out. And there's Morgan Shepherd in the number 1. Leading Andretti's 98, and the 81 way up top is Kenny Wallace. Here's Ralph Shaheen.
Mike, I had the opportunity to talk to crew chief Jimmy Fennig for Mark Martin. I asked him if he lost a part of his braking system. Yep, they did. They lost a part of the brake rotor, so that is exactly the piece that Dick Burton has.
There's Martin still piling up laps, trying to hang on to second in the point standings.
Now, these two cars right there are a lap down, the 43 of Bobby Hamilton and the 30 cars you mentioned a moment ago of Johnny Benson, but they're hanging right in there with the leaders.
And Morgan Shepherd with that Pontiac on the right side of your screen, the yellow car, trying to haul John Andretti and Kenny Wallace back up to the leaders, and Bill Elliott has not been able to break out of that group.
Well, what he's doing now, he's running a very, very high line, Bill Elliott is, just behind this group here. You see that red car there with the big M on the front of it? That's Bill Elliott. He's running a groove that nobody else is running right now. Very, very high, and he's picking up position after position as they start off in the corner.
Steve Grissom trying to run a couple of laps, but he's cut down the left front tire. Too much fender interference. He was part of that big wreck.
And Dale Earnhardt now comes back out on the racetrack.
Gets a big roar from the crowd. Daytona deja vu. There's Earnhardt. No bumper cover, little sheet metal, a lot of new suspension parts. Earnhardt in 33rd position, 21 laps off the pace. Trying to get back up to speed. Had high hopes coming in here. Great race car, and got swept up in somebody else's incident, as did 19 others, when Jeff Gordon cut down a left rear tire and sent 20 cars to pit road or the garage to make repairs at lap 141. 4 caution flags on the day. Just that one very serious incident. And now it's 6 cars up in that lead draft as Morgan Shepherd has caught that pack.
He's up there, and just behind him, John Andretti now leads the second pack. It won't take them very long, I don't think, to reel them back in. You see Earnhardt Skinner there on the bottom part of the racetrack, staying out of everybody's way. Damaged car. They don't want to get up there and create a problem for these guys.
And I'm corrected, that was Benson that caught the lead pack. He's a lap down.
Both of them have yellow cars, he and Morgan Shepherd. As a matter of fact, Morgan's been going back a little bit here the last couple of laps.
Now here's Kenny Wallace, who had a tough road to get into this field. Started 35th. Phil Martassi, the car owner, spotting for him up on the roof here. And Kenny, the youngest of the 3 racing brothers from St. Louis, currently in 6th place. He's on line to pick up or tie his best finish of the season, which was 6th at Martinsville. For more on Terry Labonte, let's go to Ralph.
Mike, I'm with Randy Dorton, his crew chief. Randy, now that we're down to the final 20-plus laps of this thing, and you're up front, what's your strategy going to be to the end? And is it going to include Ricky Craven, your teammate?
Well, obviously it includes Ricky for sure, because that's right, he is our teammate, and you definitely need a teammate at this racetrack. Well, strategy's kind of washed its way out there with the pit stops, the cautions. So we're green all the way right now.
Are you and Andy Graves talking about how you're going to hook the 2 cars up?
Absolutely, we've talking.
Want to tell me what you're going to do?
well, they're going to work together just as best we can, along with those other Chevrolets.
And you just got to get the 25 car up into position so they can actually help them draft now, Mike.
Rob, one thing that among the super teams, the Hendrick teams originated, is they have a talk around channel on each driver's radio where the team drivers can talk among themselves and with the various crew chiefs. So Hendrick and Terry Labonte, or excuse me, Terry Labonte and Ricky Craven can be in radio contact with each other. Now, the drivers with the damaged cars have been told by NASCAR that they must run at least a 58-second lap, or they'll have to take those cars back to the garage area. That's in the interest of safety to the drivers that are going around there at 190 miles an hour.
And Terry Labonte just ran over 193 miles an hour, the second fastest lap of the day. Ernie Irvan, early in the race, had the fastest lap. But Terry Labonte turning it on here. It's time to do it. If you got anything left, you got to put the pedal to the metal and go at it.
Now, most of these cars were running in the top 4 or 5 spots when the big accident happened. Jeff Gordon was about 6th place when he and John Andretti got together and swept up most of the cars behind them. Bill Elliott running that high line. There he is by himself, Bill Stevens.
That is correct, Mike Joy. Just talked to Mike Beam, Bill Elliott's crew chief. They've been sitting back in the back of the field most of the day. Bill says that that car actually responds better on the high line than running in the draft. They tried to move up while they were in the draft and couldn't get anywhere. So a guy who's had a lot of successes here at Talladega isn't going the way you usually draw it up on the blackboard.
Elliott is 11th right now. 22 cars are on the lead lap, led by Terry Labonte, Kenny Schrader, Bobby Labonte, and Ricky Craven. We'll be right back. Talladega, the late season race that's known for its dark horse winners. And right now only 2 drivers in the top 10 have been to victory lane this year. John Andretti running in 5th, and Ernie Irvan, who's in 6th. Look at that front 4. Terry Labonte, Kenny Schrader, Bobby Labonte, and Ricky Craven. They're all looking for their first win of the year. Ricky Rudd is back in the Rudd number 10. And Mike Skinner, the rookie, also returned. But of those drivers, only 2 in the top 10 have won this year. Terry Labonte's led at least 3 times today. Lake Speed returns to the race. So more than half of the damaged cars. Darrell Waltrip is back out, and so is Steve Grissom. Not much left of those cars, but they're back in the show.
Mike, you look in second place there at Schrader. He hadn't won since 1991. You know he wants to win badly for Andy Petrie, who used to be the crew chief for Dale Earnhardt.
Now look down the left side of the screen. Earnhardt and Mark Martin drafting along. Neither of those cars have much aerodynamics at all, but they're trying to run up laps. And coming out of the garage area and to his pit stall, Jeff Gordon comes on to pit road. The man who would be champion, the point standing leader. Ray Evernham and crew have taken off all the front end sheet metal. He's in 36th place as he comes back on the speedway. The winded and the wounded. And there's that pack up front, and there's another one. There's Gordon. He'll try to run as many laps as he can and salvage what he can of what was a 125-point lead when he came into the day. This is all the result of a crash at lap 140 when Jeff Gordon cut down a left rear tire, turned across John Andretti into Sterling Marlin, and a 20-car pileup ensued.
Huge wreck. Look at John Andretti, though. He was back about 250, 300 yards. They've run that front pack down. Ernie Irvan right behind him there in the 28 car. They're catching the lead cars now. This thing is really going to pick up here any second.
Jeff Bodine is with them, running in 7th place. You're with John Andretti. Andretti's win at Daytona, coupled with a 4th place here in May, his only top 5s of the year.
You know, right now he's wanting Bobby Hamilton to give him room there. Hamilton a lap down right now. He wants to get up there so he can fight for the lead. John Andretti driving his heart out.
Coming up next, the Michelob Championship at Kingsmill. Live final round coverage on CBS after the race. Mark Martin and Joe Nemechek believe the consultation flag has gone out, not running fast enough. It's for loose sheet metal. It's not for speed, excuse me. And you can see some of it flapping along there as he drafts off Joe Nemechek.
He's probably running along 140, 150 miles an hour.
And he is up to 29th place, Ned. He's gained 3 spots from when he came out of the garage. There are the laps behind on those cars involved in the accident.
Just as I talked about, Bobby Hamilton, being a gentleman, moved over and let these guys go at it that are racing to win right now. He's a lap down. He moved over. Let John Andretti and those guys make this a real race now.
7 cars battle for the lead at Talladega. 15 laps to go. The Labonte brothers out front with Kenny Schrader between them. We'll be right back.
CBS Sports coverage of the Sears Diehard 500 is sponsored by Diehard, saluting race fans everywhere. Diehard, tried and true. Econo Lodge, spend a night, not a fortune at Econo Lodge. And by Texaco, a world of energy.
Terry Labonte leads Kenny Schrader, John Andretti, Ernie Irvan, and Bobby Labonte, the front 5. Ricky Craven and Jeff Bodine are part of that lead draft. Then Kyle Petty, Rick Mast, and Kenny Wallace. 12 laps to go. The line of that old Johnny Horton song, there wasn't nigh as many as there was a while ago, and here's why. Lap 140. Out of the middle of the pack, watch Jeff Gordon cut down a left rear tire, swerve into John Andretti, and come straight across into Sterling Marlin and Dale Earnhardt.
Lots of other cars get involved. Couldn't see where they were going. Didn't have time to react and dodge.
15 other cars pile in. Most of them have returned to the racetrack.
10 laps to go when they return, Mike.
Jeff Gordon, black flag by NASCAR, needs to get his speed up if he's going to stay out on the racetrack. Here comes Mark Martin. These are the 2-point leaders out there running for it.
And they'll try to draft together to get that speed up high enough. What NASCAR has told them, they got to run a certain speed or they can't stay at it. But let's look, we got to change for the lead.
At 10 laps to go, Kenny Schrader outside of Terry Labonte.
You got Kenny Schrader fighting on the outside, Ernie Irvan on the inside, and on the outside, John Andretti. They're side by side down the back straightaway.
Add Bobby Labonte, Ricky Craven, and Jeff Bodine to this mix. And you've got a typical Talladega. Thrilling finish coming up. 10 laps to go. Don't touch that dial. Here they come off turn 4. And they pulled the rest of those lead lap cars right to them.
I was just fixing to say, Jeff Bodine's moved into the fray now. He's moved up in there.
Bodine, former Daytona 500 winner, knows how to get it done.
That's him in the black car there.
And Kyle Petty getting drafting help from his dad's car, driven by Bobby Hamilton.
Mike, it looked like that outside line got a great run off the corner there. You see Kenny Schrader and John Andretti moving along, but look at Terry Labonte halfway down that back straightaway, rocket back into the lead.
Labonte has the power. Schrader, a little more RPM up in that top groove. Margin that lap, 1/1000th of a second. John Andretti running right behind Kenny Schrader in third. Here's Ralph.
Boy, Mike, he's put himself back in position to make a run at it again. Tony Furr watches him come by pit road one more time. Tony, have you given him the green light to make his move, and will it involve Ernie Irvan?
Well, I don't know who it's going to involve right now, but I'm hoping that we win this thing. He's got the green light to go right now. I mean, do all they can, but, you know, it's pretty tough out there. It's been tough all day. John's done a very good job, and the boys in the crew has done a good job getting the car in and out. You know, we just, however it ends up, and that's it. And like I say,
he's got the green light, but he's stuck in a line of traffic. Terry Labonte on the low side. And look at Kenny Schrader squirt away.
Boy, he is loving what he is seeing in his rear view mirror, and his crew loves it as well. They like to see those cars running side by side back there because it's hard to catch him when they're running side by side. Coming up on Michael Waltrip. Michael moves down on the inside in the wounded Citgo Ford number 21.
And now they've caught Schrader again. Andretti poised for a repeat of his Daytona victory. Terry Labonte in the number 5 looking to win his first of the year. Kenny Schrader looking to win his first, 10 years? 1991. 6 years for Schrader since victory lane. 10 years since his first win. Andretti waving for some help.
He was telling him right then that we want to drop back and get a run on Schrader. He was trying to get him not to get so close getting in the corner. He may be just a little bit loose, but that don't matter anymore. Look at Terry Labonte go up high there.
Bobby Labonte gave him the room to get in there. I think that's exactly what he wanted to do. He wanted his brother up there in front of him so that they could draft together, maybe draft back past that Ford, number 98, and the Chevrolet of Ken Schrader.
2 Chevys, 1 Ford, 1 Pontiac. Ken Schrader, 198 races since he's been to victory lane. And he's out front.
Mike, the first 4 cars you see in line there, back behind them are running 2 by 2, and you can see this guy, front 4 cars here are moving away from that pack just a little bit.
There's the 4-car breakaway Buddy spoke of, and Jeff Bodine leads that second pack, and they'll have to get single file to catch the leaders.
Yes, they will, and boy, they might have waited too long, Mike.
Bodine and Ernie Irvin side by side, and it'll be 5 laps to go. Ken Schrader, a race leader for only the 7th time this season, trying to take Andy Petrie's Chevy to victory lane.
Andy has not won a race as a car owner. Of course, when he was crew chief for Dale Earnhardt many years ago, they won lots of races and championships, but not since he became a car owner. He's not won.
All right, strategy. We know Schrader's strategy, stay out front. What about John Andretti? What does he need to do, buddy?
Well, I've asked a bunch of drivers this week, where do you want to be on the last lap? They said out front. Let me move around. Let them take it away from me. I don't want to have to go by anyone.
Ned, if you're the Labonte brothers, what's your game plan?
Well, I think that they will try to work together, and Bobby will go wherever Terry tries to go and try to move themselves together.
Moving up past Brett Bodine and Ted Musgrave.
Dale Jarrett in the number 88
Excuse
car.
me, Dale Jarrett.
It's Nancy Andretti, John's wife, cheering her husband on.
4 to go. And Irvin has broken away from Jeff Bodine. Irvin took a low line around the corner last time to break free of that side-by-side draft.
But I don't think he has enough time to catch him back. Like, he'll have the help of Brett Bodine and Dale Jarrett there for just a moment when he catches them. But that lead pack 4 has gotten away.
Yeah, they race side by side just a little too long. The first 4 cars you can see right there. I think this is going to be the ones that we have to watch towards the checkered flag.
That's Schrader's crew watching the monitor. They can only see the car through the tri-oval, and there's Labonte's car watching it on CBS with you. 3 laps to go. Schrader, Andretti, and the Labonte brothers. Ernie Irvin is 1.8 seconds behind and is not a factor. Labonte has appeared to have the most straightaway speed of this group today. Terry Labonte in that number 5.
If I had a trump card, I might have to play it with 2 to go. I don't believe I'd wait for that last lap. Lap traffic or anything could come into play.
Yeah, I agree with you, buddy. I think that you need to make that move just as quickly as you possibly can. And you said a while ago, Ken Schrader, he needs to keep doing what he's doing.
Here comes Terry Labonte on the bottom.
And his brother Bobby will come right with him. You can rest assured.
And Andretti has to give way, has to give him room.
Boy, they were down almost on the flat part of the racetrack.
2 laps to go.
Ken Schrader loved that little move. Let him open up just a little bit, but now they've singled out. And that didn't last long, did it?
And Schrader helped decide that. He stayed low in the corner, which helped the Labontes. Had he gone up high, it would have helped Andretti. And here comes Terry Labonte, Winston Cup champion off turn 2, hunting the lead.
He looks up for, where's my brother? Bobby got a little bit behind coming off of turn 2.
Ned, he's there. You can see he takes the lead going into turn 3 there. Terry Labonte. Here comes Bobby Labonte on the outside.
They call Terry Labonte the Iceman, but Bobby Labonte could ice this win for his brother by staying side by side with Kenny Schrader. White flag, last lap.
And now Andretti, he gets up. He's just trying to get more positions there now.
And he's lined up. That could help propel Schrader back to the front. No, Schrader's going to tuck in line.
Don't count out Bobby Labonte. He's winless this year, too. Brotherly love's one thing. Winning the Talladega 500, that's another.
Terry Labonte, the defending champion of the series, the elder of the two brothers, John Andretti. Terry Labonte jukes to the inside. Everybody follows.
Andretti had a run coming off of turn 2, and Terry Labonte saw that, so he dipped down to the inside. He knew that Andretti was going to try to get that run coming down there.
Ned, if they have anything, they'll start building speed right here coming off turn 4.
Bobby Labonte looks to the low side. Terry comes down. Bobby looks high. John Andretti looks to capitalize. They come to the tri-oval and head for the line. And Terry Labonte will pick up his 19th Winston Cup win in the Sears Diehard 500.
Well, he made some great moves, did exactly what he had to do, and won a happy crew.
The fastest car in pre-qualifying practice. Terry Labonte lined up 6th today. A draft from his brother helped him pass Ken Schrader, and when Bobby Labonte got side by side with Schrader, that gave Terry the lead he needed.
But you could see the last lap, the last thing that he was going to do was let Bobby Labonte make any kind of move to take that race away from him. Congratulations to Terry Labonte.
The Iceman cometh to victory
I told
lane.
you.
Well, Professor Baker, as you said, I'd rather be out front.
I don't know about you guys, but I tell you what, I feel like I've run a 500-mile race up here. You just had a feeling it had to happen. They were running so close. Big Rex had a lot to do with the outcome here.
Jeff Gordon's lead of 125 will be slashed by 15 points thanks to Mark Martin getting back into the race. Dale Jarrett came into the day 197 behind, so he will gain a lot of ground. There's a look at the top dozen. 3 races to go. Rockingham, Phoenix, and Atlanta. To decide the 1997 champion, NASCAR official Steve Peterson checks the rear spoiler angle on Terry Labonte's car. There's a minimum they must run.
He passed. He's on his way to winner's circle right now.
Labonte led 70 of the 188 laps. Margin of victory, 0.146 seconds. A little more than a car length. For Rick Hendrick, Randy Dorton, Andy Graves, the rest of that whole organization, it's been a long time. It's been since Charlotte last year, since Terry Labonte made this left turn to go to victory lane.
Great win for this team, and you know it was just a matter of time until he did win again. They've had sort of a rough couple of months here, but right back on top of it now.
Michelob Championship at Kingsmill. Live final round coverage coming up next here on CBS Sports. But first we'll honor the winner. Ken Squire is in victory lane.
All right, we're getting right in here with Terry Labonte getting this wonderful victory, his first of the year. 2 seconds at Daytona, with 3rd earlier. Terry, you've got to be thrilled about this battle with Schrader at the end of this one.
Well, I'll tell you what, it was a good race there. Our Kellogg Chevy ran great, and these guys have done a fantastic job. And I just got to thank Rick Hendrick. You know, he's done an awful lot for this team and really helped me a lot. And I really appreciate the opportunity to drive for him. And I'll tell you what, it was a heck of a race there with Kenny and Bobby. And you know, I felt like both of them are kind of teammates. You know, Schrader, we still consider him one of our teammates. And, of course, we do Bobby, too. And I'll tell you what, Kenny got me, and I was able to get the 98 back, and then I got Kenny back, and then I had to hold off Bobby there. So I'm tickled to death. It was a great run for us.
Congratulations, Terry.
Thank you.
Terry Labonte has pulled it off here in victory lane for the first time in 1997. Just about.
Labonte the winner. Brother Bobby coming home 2nd. John Andretti 3rd. Ken Schrader, Ernie Irvin, Ricky Craven, the top half dozen. Then it was Kyle Petty, Jeff Bodine, Rick Mast, Rusty Wallace 10th. Ted Musgrave, Morgan Shepherd, the top dozen. Bill Elliott, Jeff Burton, Kenny Wallace, David Green, Kevin LePage, and Derek Cope all finished on the lead lap. Coming up next, CBS Sports takes you to historic Williamsburg, Virginia for live final round coverage of the Michelob Championship at Kings Mill. For Ken Squire, Buddy Baker, Ned Jarrett, Bill Stevens, Dick Berggren, and Ralph Shaheen, this is Mike Joy congratulating Terry Labonte, the winner of the 1997 Sears Diehard 500.